everyone.
Benny White Saguna gave England the shunt. He said to Gareth Southgate, "You are a fucking."
And we will be here next Thursday too, as well, Stan. We will be here next Thursday. Yeah, Gareth Southgate, Ben White. I think we'll be talking about that. Yeah, we'll get into that. Welcome everybody, Thursday Night Forum. Kicking off a little bit later than the advertised time schedule slot because we were trying to fix Lawrence's audio. It's still not perfect, but bear with us. You'll be able to hear everything that Lawrence has to say. So, Lawrence, kick us off. How you doing?
All right, I had a bit of a rough day, but I'm just trying to get over Tuesday. I think I went through 5 pairs of white fronts watching that game.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I cannot handle that type of stress. Really, honestly, it was.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know how. I mean, when the game started, it was middle of the afternoon, and when it ended, it was almost evening time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I myself, I was at work, and with the time difference, I said to myself, we'll have everything well, and maybe we'll get back into the tie by the time I get there after 60 minutes. And I got home, kicked on Paramount Plus, and watched after 60 minutes. And it was a slog. I got to tell you, it was a slog for the next 30 minutes, and then the next 30 minutes after that for the extra time. But the penalties are a very nerve-wracking way to have a decision to go through in this tie. But thankful, I wouldn't have backed us. I would not have backed us against a Porto team that was making things difficult for us. But
this is what I was telling everyone before the game. Everyone was saying, "Oh, we're gonna whack them 4-0," and I'm just trying to explain to these people, do not be fooled by them. They are a class outfit, Porto. No matter what you think about them, right? You know, and I had a gut feeling it was going to go to penalties. In fact, I thought it was going to end up goalless the way we played in the first half. I was so surprised when we scored.
Mm-hmm.
But we never really had control of the game.
No, and Porto are a difficult team. We need CC captioning underneath you, Lawrence, but we'll get through it. We'll be all right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're all right. You've had a rough day already, so we're gonna forgive you.
Yeah.
The audio issues that we're having here, Stan.
If it doesn't rain, it pours.
Stan, how are you doing?
I'm good. What I want to know is how can we send a man to the moon? Right, you can send a man to the moon, and they can come back on their radio a lot clearer than Lawrence.
Yeah.
How is that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Technology is a fickle beast.
Sometimes I wonder if we're in the 21st century. I think sometimes you'd be better off having a can with a piece of string at the end of it.
This is no good, mate. Seriously. This is no good. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Something about a can and a piece of string. Yeah, it'll be a lot better. Between you and me, Stan, we'll figure it out, right? It's Tiger and Gunner, come on, you Gunners, all the way from Australia. We're into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Nigel, hi guys, I hope everyone is well. Liverpool progressed as well in the Europa League. All good, Nigel. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. All right, let's go. Let's get through a few comments here as well, Stan. How long before we start? Well, it was 60 seconds. We were trying to get the audio going on Lawrence's connection here. Ray is performing a last-minute brush-up of the notes. Got to prove something to Stan. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Sorry, this show and my earbuds and that dude's audio is cracking my eardrums. Yeah, definitely. Lawrence, you're still using the microphone from the corner shop. There you go. Lawrence, your audio, mate, and Moss. Never worried about the stands. Odegaard confidence showed me we were winning. Yeah, Nigel. Nigel might be out as well.
Okay. Well, I've just taken the charger out the phone. I hope that improves it. Is that better?
Not much better.
Not at all. It got worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well, obviously, I don't want to drive anyone mental, so I'll see
All
you
right.
guys later.
Lawrence,
Sorry.
get in the chat box. Put lots of stuff. Put lots of comments in the chat box for us.
Okay, no worries.
All right, Lawrence.
Okay,
take
see you.
care. Lawrence had a tough day already, so but
Getting tougher.
Yeah, tougher with the audio as well. Lawrence, your mic sounds like the Europa League anthem. Listen, a little bit of bants, but yeah, he's had a bit of a shock today, so let's give him some grace here. Okay, Stan,
Sir.
let's dive into this. Let's dive into this Champions League. It's not bad, all right. I like this competition.
Yeah, so the Champions League, and when we go to, maybe in the next round. No, I'm joking.
Stop it.
So I couldn't resist. Listen, we're in a very good place, and I'm pretty sure that when we were looking at the beginning of the season, everyone was looking towards this season, and people were saying, well, what's gonna be acceptable how we finish this season? I'm sure there was a lot of people that were saying, well, we've got to obviously continue to qualify for, we're in the Champions League, right? So how are we going to do it? Our first time back. And I think a lot of people were saying, like, well, if we can get out of the groups and our first go, that'd be something good. And a couple of other people were saying, well, I'd really like to see us maybe do something in the last 16. We're in the pot for the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
It's just, we're only a couple of matches away from being in the final. Obviously, home and away legs, but as in opponents, we're a couple of matches away from actually being in the final. And at this moment in time, Mikel Arteta has made Arsenal one of the 8 best teams in Europe. Yeah. Not in the top 10, we're in the top 8.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it like that, I think that's an achievement. And I still saw people, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I'm of an age where if someone has a different opinion to me about Arsenal, I don't just go in on him if I think it's shit. I might just go, okay, I can't really say much to this guy because he's really stuck on that. But I'm not one of those that like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know ball and all that sort of stuff. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I saw a lot of people on Twitter still saying that they wanted this manager out. They still wanted this manager out and saying that he was no good and for various reasons. And I'm like, surely if you are an Arsenal fan, I mean, even just for that day, are you not happy that we have now just, no matter how we done it, we are now in the pot for the quarterfinals of the Champions League? Is that not something to be like slightly happy about? Can you not raise a glass of sherry and have a little toast and, just enjoy life for 10 minutes? So I don't understand what people want, and we're top of the league.
It's agendas right now.
To boot. We're top of the league to boot.
Yeah. If you are still you might dislike Arteta. You might not personally like him as an Arsenal fan. He might not be your
maybe there's nothing personal about him. Like he just rubs you up the wrong way. I get that. Some people they just rub you up the wrong way.
Maybe he's a little bit too emotional.
But surely the achievement of where we are as a club, aren't you happy about that? That your football team is top of the league, battling against 2 other teams that have been playing some really great football over the last few years, and the 2 teams that have been consistent in being there or thereabouts or winning things, and we're right in there. We are right in there, man. I mean, I don't know what it is that people want, and I'm not having a go at those people. I'm just trying to say I'm just confused.
What's
Yeah,
what's
you
the
know,
deal?
we do a weekly podcast, and we can't come in here all of the time and say everything is great. Sometimes we might, you know, we look at a performance and we talk about the players that had good performances and the players that had bad performances, and we try to be well rounded about it. But surely, in the bigger picture of things, as an Arsenal fan, you should be doing backflips,
Mm-hmm.
literally.
Yeah, and look, maybe you buy into what the media is saying. Maybe you're going to listen to the likes of Gary Neville. I don't know why you would. Jamie Carragher, don't know why you would. Roy Keane, don't know why you would, because these are not
I like
Arsenal
Roy.
men. Huh?
I like Roy.
You're like,
Roy's
why?
entertaining. Roy's
He is
entertaining.
entertaining. And he's Irish, so I'm going to give him a pass on that one, right? But yeah, but you know, listen to the likes of Ian Wright, who loves Arsenal, loves this club, and maybe you don't like Arteta's emotional state sometimes.
I believe that if let's say the most perfect thing happens at the end of this season and we win the double, we win the league and the Champions League, I guarantee you that I will still see tweets saying that Arteta still needs to be changed.
Yeah, but you know, those are the people who are just trying to make a name for themselves, trying to, you know, for clout. What do you call it? Stand for clout. They're trying to make.
Yeah, I believe that's what the
waves.
youth of today refer to it as.
Yeah, but there are certain people on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. There's certain people who want to they approach that site in different ways, right? You can be real and tweet the things that you feel. There, I rhymed that out. Or you can be fake and make a tweet that will try to garner some kind of reaction. And then you get yourself involved in a million different counterpoints to the bullshit thing that you've put out there. But anyway, that's people on Twitter or X. If you don't like the way Mikel Arteta acts on the sideline, why would you worry about that as long as you love Arsenal and you want Arsenal to do? Do we want? We've been in the last few years then in 8th place, mid-table, bang in mid-table. We're laughing at teams that are in 8th place now, and we were there. We were in 5th place. We were the Tottenhams. We were the Man Uniteds. But now we're in real territory now where we're going to get into April, the business end of the season, and we have a quarter final of the Champions League to play, and we've nudged ourselves into the party with Liverpool and City over these last 4 years. It's taken 4 years, but we've nudged ourselves, and we're starting to rattle Liverpool supporters. We're starting to rattle Man City supporters because we've reached the Holy Grail. We're close to Mount Everest now.
Because those fans realise that the only other team out there that can put them under manners is Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at Liverpool the last 2 seasons.
At home or at their gaff. Doesn't matter.
We have beaten them. Yeah, we beat them twice at the Emirates last 2 seasons, and we've drawn the last 2 seasons as well at Anfield. So there's a demonstrated track record there of getting decent results against your biggest rivals. Now we've just beaten City. Last October we beat City, and we beat him in the curtain raiser as well, the Charity Shield. So City will be afraid. I think City would fear us if we drew City in that quarterfinal tomorrow morning. They would fear us over 2 legs. I
think so as well.
You know,
I think we've earned that reputation now, and that we're kind of that's the stature where we are at the moment in the British League. You know, we are contenders, serious contenders.
With the Premier League being one of the best leagues in the world now, or in Europe, you know, there's not many clubs outside of England that would be considered contenders for the, you know, we would be rubbing shoulders with Real Madrid and PSG right now.
Yeah,
I think if we played PSG or Real Madrid, we may not win, but we would give them a very good game.
Yeah,
we may win. You know,
I think for me, with the steps that we're taking and growing as a club, I've said this a few times now, that what I saw at Porto was an anomaly, because if you look at the results that came before Porto and the results that came after Porto, I really think that the away European fixture made the players a bit overawed. There's a lot of players that haven't been to that point. And yeah, they may play an international stage, but I'm talking about, you know, it's a different story. There's expectation. You know, Arsenal haven't been in this position for a long time. They haven't been in the Champions League. You know, expectations, and obviously as well, the occasion. A lot of players haven't been there, and the players that we bought that have been there, and which is probably the reason that we bought them, well, who was available? Jesus wasn't available. Zinchenko wasn't available. Thomas Partey wasn't available. I think all we had was Havertz.
Yeah.
So the ones that we had bought, who were supposed to be maybe the shepherds for this kind of a fixture, they weren't even available to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So my worry going forward is, you know, playing away at PSG.
Yeah.
Playing away at the Bernabeu. You know,
I mean,
playing away at the Allianz Arena. You know, even though we could probably do well against those teams, is the away fixture and the occasion, could it be too much for some of our players?
Yeah.
And you see a similar performance that we saw at Porto.
Yeah, I'll add weight to your argument.
It's a learning curve. And I mean, and you'd like to think that in the same way that we messed up the league last season, that those players are doing it better this season, because they've been in this position now. They spent most of last season in the lead, 240 odd days, and then we choke at the end. Now this time we've been battling and been close into it, and now we've slipped into the front. So you'd like to think that these players have a better understanding of what's required. Maybe that's still yet to learn in the Champions League, because this is the first go around, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just trying to look at, you know, things that worry me that could be a bump in the road to success. Do you know what I mean?
I'll add some weight to your argument as well, Stan. The player who scored the goal for us is one of our senior players in the squad. One of the oldest players in our squad, Leandro Trossard, 28, 29 years old. Jorginho, some say he should not have played 3 games in the week, but we may have needed his nous, his experience as well, moving forward. So, yeah, as you said, maybe we were a little bit overawed by the atmosphere going away from home. We experienced a little bit of it in the group stages. We lost at Lens, I think it was, in France. We played quite well against Sevilla, but Reddy's asking here.
Lens is a club that you may think that it's a small club, but the fans are extremely passionate. And I mentioned it before that Lens almost went into receivership, you know, went bankrupt or whatever. One of the ways that they were saved was that the Lens fans were going to give blood. They would go down and give blood. And, you know, when you gave blood, they gave you like a tenner. They gave you like $10 or whatever it is for it, €10. They were constantly going to give blood, and they were giving the money straight to the club. So they literally, you know, paid with their own blood to keep the club going. So that shows you what these supporters are like. And I mean, I didn't go to that game and I don't remember it, but it made me, maybe on the night, you know, the way that the fans were in Lens, again, it could have, you know, the passion, the overawed, the players have not been in there before, and before you know what's happening, it's the final whistle.
Well, they do say
the game flies by, right? The game flies by, and
Blood
before
and
you know
thunder.
where you are, it's the final whistle, and you lost 1-0.
Yeah. And they do say, especially in the group stages, it's difficult to win away from home. You got to take care of your home form, pick up points at home. And okay, but now we've got 8 teams in the quarterfinals, and there's no bad teams in here. And Stan, a little bit to what Riddy's saying, did we underestimate Porto? Maybe we did underestimate them a little bit, being that they were not one of the traditionally better teams, or they've been there many years, but they've been cannon fodder for some of the established teams. Real Madrid, City, even Liverpool have taken care of them in recent years.
I mean, I saw a lot of people complaining about the way that Porto play their football, stop and start, anti-football. But at the end of the day, that's tactics. You know, they are who they are. We are who we are. And if you're the manager and you're looking at your opposition, you think to yourself, well, how can I beat this team? And maybe the only way to beat the opposition, especially if they're a team that maybe when it comes to playing football are better than you in a lot of areas, maybe you have to play a different way to slow that down. And although we don't like it as Arsenal fans, you know, at the end of the day, Porto were trying to get through the rounds as well. It's not, you know, they're not breaking the rules. Yeah, they're walking a fine line, but they're not breaking the rules. You know, the ball's only in play for 49 minutes. You know, I suppose for Porto's side of it, they're thinking the less the ball is in play, that less time that Arsenal will have an opportunity to put three past. So I get that. I don't necessarily like it or enjoy to watch it, but I don't slag them off for it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, you know, do you know what I mean? I understand that they have to do what they have to do to try and win. And it's up to us as a team to find a way to work around, to raise ourselves, to find another way to win. You know, it's like playing chess.
We got the perfect lead up to this game by playing Brentford, and Brentford played very similar style. You know, low block, slow the game down, time waste, and we even experienced a lot more of that with Porto. I believe in 130 minutes of football, the ball was in play for something like 66 minutes. So just over half of the time the ball was out of play, you know, taking long throw-ins and all that. And then we have, I guess we should go into the controversy of the manager saying things about Mikel Arteta insulting his family. Well, that's his side of the story, and Arteta and Arsenal deny it vehemently.
But doesn't this manager also have previous in this exact kind of accusation with sideline antics and this kind of mind game or whatever you want to call it? So you know, it's not the first time that he's been at the center of almost exactly a similar thing, as I understand it. So he's got form.
Yeah, with Tuchel and I think Mourinho, and then there's the Benfica coach as well in his league as well. So it's a reprehensive thing to bring up in the light of a defeat. I understand. I would have been not happy losing on penalties, Stan. So I understand you're very disappointed to lose on penalties after putting such an effort in. I would have been kind of very disappointed, irritated, annoyed that Arsenal did not do enough on the night to win the game outright over two legs. The difference between winning on penalties and losing on penalties is something that we've experienced in recent years.
But I think for Porto, it was their own undoing because they're the ones that took it to penalties because they kept stopping the game. You see what I mean? They're the ones that kept stopping, which is why that, you know, when and so we don't have an opportunity to score. They don't have an opportunity to score if the ball's not in play. We go to extra time and we go to penalties, and that's where they undone themselves, because when it comes to penalties, it's obvious that we have the better quality.
Yeah,
because the result shows you that, right? So what did they expect? Probably it was, in retrospect, the worst thing they could have done is go to penalties for them, because we've got better finishers and we've got a goalkeeper that could save too. And I've always been of the opinion that when I look at a penalty shootout, or even not even a shootout, but a penalty during a game, if I'm the manager sitting there watching my striker or my player take the penalty, then my expectation is that he gets the ball on target. You're not standing a million miles away from the goal. You're a professional footballer in the top tier. You should be able to strike the ball at that distance and get it in target between the goalposts. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm the manager of the goalkeeper facing the penalty, my attitude is, I don't expect you to save this. And if you do, that's a fucking bonus. Well done, mate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you don't save it, I'm not going to be moody with you. I don't expect you to save it.
Sure.
So if I think of it in that way, for David Raya to save 2 penalties in a penalty shootout, for me, is excellent. Because I don't expect him to save any. I don't.
And
not because it's David Raya, But I just goalkeepers in general in the penalty shootout.
Percentages,
save them.
yeah,
So
percentages are against you. Yeah, definitely.
Mate,
But you know now they've been talking about the levels of coaching. Stan, we've got coaches to do everything now. We've got set piece coaching. We've got goalkeeping coaching. David Raya said he studied up on each player, their tendencies, where they like to go. So all you can do as a goalkeeper is try to do the best homework you can, understand their posture when they're addressing the ball, when they're about to strike the ball, and try to guess and play the percentages yourself to give yourself the best possible chance of success.
Yeah, because make no doubt about it, the reason that we are going through to the next round is because David Raya saved 2 penalties.
Yeah.
There's no other way to dress it up. There's no other way around it. The reason that we are in the quarterfinals is because David Raya saved 2 penalties. This could be the most worthwhile £27 million that Arsenal has spent.
Yeah.
For what you get back. I mean, as I understand it, for what we've done so far this year in the Champions League, money-wise, we have earned £91 million already.
Yep.
That's in qualifying, going through the group stage, getting past the last 16, and now qualifying for the last 8. Thus far, that equates to £91 million.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, right, that everyone says about trophies at the end of the day, but do you know how much you win for winning the Carabao Cup? It's about £500,000.
Mm-hmm.
£500,000. Yeah, you got the trophy, £500,000, and for winning the FA Cup, it's not much more than that. Was it 1.5, 2 million, something like that? Now we're in the Champions League, and we've not even won anything, and we've already pocketed 91. We've almost made back the money for Declan Rice.
Yeah. So how do you equate this as an adult now, Stan? We're talking about this in cold hard numbers for the club. And I've thought about this recently. When we were kids, after the FA Cup final, we want to get that ball, go out on the street and recreate those games, play football, score goals. We want to win trophies at the end of the day. But now you're telling me in cold hard numbers that the money, the cash availed, the prize for winning the FA Cup is not as, what do you call it? Not as much as a Champions League run,
So then if you've got a small squad and you're in certain competitions, it could be the reason why when people go, why are you putting out such a shit team in the Carabao Cup? Because there's no money there.
Yeah.
Money is in the Champions League, and as I say, we've not even won anything, and we've made 91 million, and I would imagine that's really important to the owners of the club. It helps to balance books. It helps to put money in the transfer kitty. But I mean, at the end of the day, as a fan, it's trophies is what you're counting. We've got 14 FA Cups.
Yeah. We would like a Carabao Cup. We would like to be
trophy. It's one more cup that Tottenham doesn't have.
Yeah, and
that's what we're bothered about. We're not bothered about. Yeah, we've got 91 million more pounds than Tottenham. Woo, you suck. That's not quantifiable. But in the real scheme of things, that 91 million pounds is extremely important.
Yeah. It's going to fund the squad that we have. We know that there's 5 or 6 players that are not up to scratch in the league. It's going to help us improve again and go again next season, this cash. And I think, although we want to go ahead and fight for this title, we could be already in a position where we're pretty damn close to qualifying for top 4 again, or top 5, whatever it is, and go again in next season's Champions League. We don't want to be... We don't want to be here for just 2 seasons,
There's no fear of us not qualifying. I don't think there's any fear of us not qualifying in the Champions League next season at all.
Yeah. Me neither.
I don't want to sound arrogant or cocky, but I think that's in the bag.
But first thing you want to do is get
lower than third. We're not finishing lower than third.
But in the season, right? At the start of every season, you want to get to 40 points. Arsenal's never been relegated from the league or Premier League. Never. We got promoted. We got promoted, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
You want to get to 40 points, then you want to get to a position where you secure top 4. And if you find yourself in a title race with City and Liverpool, and you're gate crashing the party that's been going, the Love Fest has been going on for 5 or 6 years. Here we are. We're here, and they don't like Arteta. They don't like us because they're not us. You know what I mean, Stan?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great revenue for us, and we can go and possibly fund a striker next season based off of the run in the Champions League now. So really said,
it's funny you say that about going to fund a striker, because according to Martin Keown, he feels that when that narrative is mooted about Arsenal needing to go and get a striker, and I quote, he says it's lazy journalism. Martin Keown, he says it's lazy journalism, and he quotes and uses the reference of Man City going for 2 seasons without a known preferred 9, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
but
don't I'm thinking about.
I love Martin Keown. He's one of my favorites. He was one of my favorites as a player.
Yeah,
I love him on Talk Sport going up against Simon and Jim White, because he
George,
really waves that fucking Arsenal flag, man. He just waves the Arsenal flag, and I love him for that.
Yeah, you got to give it to him for that, right?
But on this particular occasion and on this subject, man, nah.
We need to upgrade the striking department, and when you upgrade a department, what do? You move on the weakest link, right? And then you bring someone in of better quality. That's how you improve in every department, Stan. And we're going to have to do it in midfield. We have an aging midfield. I think you were talking about Mohamed El Neni, maybe during the podcast or before.
I was talking about that before, weren't we?
Yeah.
I was reading something about Mohamed El Neni, and it was about cost. He earns more than Emil Smith-Rowe. He initially, when he signed for Arsenal, was on 30 grand a week. He got an extension to 50 grand a week, and then while he wasn't playing and couldn't play because of his injury, his contract was increased again by another 5 grand, because obviously 50 grand wasn't enough. 50 grand a week wasn't enough, even though he wasn't playing. It increased by another 5 grand. And they then started to look at including the money that we paid for him, which was 5 million, the wage increases and everything. They started putting a table down of, how much does it cost does it cost Arsenal for Mohamed El Neni to play a match? And it was like something like 140 grand a match. It's like every goal that he has scored so far in Arsenal, how much would that be worth in what they've spent? And it was like, for every goal that he scored for us, it costs something like 3.6 million. And some of these numbers were quite bizarre when I was reading them in the cold light of day. I wish I'd saved it.
Doesn't make sense.
I wish I could. Yeah, what they do is they're equating how much he cost and the money that he's been paid thus far in wages and the minutes that he's played.
Okay.
And they're dividing it at things like assists, goals, minutes. But how much is it? For the minutes that he's played, if you equate that to 90 minutes, how much does it cost? How much has Arsenal paid for him to play a match?
He's a holding midfielder, though. Is he going to score a lot of goals?
Well, I think he scored about 10 goals for Arsenal in his career, or 6 goals, or whatever it is. There is a number, but it works out like 3.6 million for every goal. And and some of the numbers are up there in the millions. And I wish I'd saved it so that I could give you the categories. Yeah. But I'd never thought about it like that. And reading it like that, you think to yourself, why have we still got this guy?
Well, he's given us.
Why have we still got this guy? He's getting paid more than Emil Smith-Rowe, and Emil Smith-Rowe barely.
Sometimes sometimes you need a guy like that in the dressing room. Sometimes you need a guy like that to be the professional, to show the way.
I get what you're saying, but if you've got a player that is maybe on the way out, and then he has a bad injury, and because you decide to put your arm around him, I get that. But is there any need to increase his wages from 50 to 55? I mean, You're
No.
keeping him anyway, and he's not playing.
I thought he signed on for the same amount.
But did you see what? No, and they increased it by $5,000 a week, and I'm like,
No.
for what reason? He's getting
probably
50 grand as it is. I mean, surely that's enough to pay the mortgage. You know what I mean? And pay
I think
milk bill at the end of the month.
I think he's doing okay. 55 even. That's not bad at all.
Look, everybody wants, you know, everybody needs to make their ends meet. But when you're being paid 55 grand a week, believe me, mate, your ends are meeting like a motherfucker.
Sure, okay. You're doing okay. This Kansas was a bit of a piece of work, all right.
Like that. It's a circle.
Yeah. Their manager looked like a little shit. It's embarrassing. Kansas
Weasel.
I'm gonna have a little
weasel.
We'll have a weasel, yeah. Let's okay. Just like we're in the pub, we're having a few beers. Let's link that to Havertz, right? So
yeah.
I'm starting to love Havertz now. I've seen his contribution on the field, but now I actually do care for the way he's putting himself about. And, you know, he's got that little bit of an edge about him that he's just on the right side of being legal as well, Stan. And I love it.
Yeah, I'm, you know, yeah. There are times when Arsenal may sign a player and they sign the player and you hear the announcement and I'm like, really? That guy? I don't like that guy. I would never really like that guy, whoever it may be, right? Player X. And I'll give you the example. And I've said it many times on this podcast. Here's a great one. When I heard the news that Arsenal was signing Danny Welbeck, I was absolutely frothing, mate.
Right.
I was going, Gary. I was like, we're signing that fucking has-been for Man United. That has been for Man United. Why? Yeah. Why are we doing that? You know what I mean? Why are we getting this guy in? Danny Welbeck just earned his way into my heart in the way of putting it. His application, the way that he played for us, the way that his attitude is. You know, if so much so that if I hear Danny Welbeck's name mentioned now, I look up and want to hear what it's about. Oh, what's happening with Danny? Yeah. You know, if I'm watching Match of the Day and Danny Welbeck comes on as a substitute for Brighton, I'm like, hey, Danny, there's Danny.
And he scores for them.
Exactly. Yeah. I like the guy. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not stubborn. I may have initial feelings and thoughts and like, really, we're going with this guy. But if the guy works hard, I can be turned around. And it seems at the moment, the reason I'm saying that is because Kai Havertz seems to be doing that. When we bought him, I was like, really? He hasn't shown me nothing at Chelsea. And it's not like we're getting him for 20 mil. We're paying out how much? I was like, this sounds like a nightmare scenario. And then if you remember, me and you even said we're going to give him 10 games in the Arsenal shirt so that we can then really give him an opportunity. And then, you know, and obviously as well, because Xhaka goes out and Havertz comes in and takes his place in the squad, not necessarily in the same position, but takes up that place in the squad. Now you've got comparisons. At the beginning of the season, it was like, I still miss Xhaka. Xhaka this, Xhaka that. Should never have sold Xhaka. Even though Xhaka was the one that wanted to leave. He was the one that said, okay, I'll stay another year because you've asked me, but I need to leave when I'm leaving this time. And that's what he done. We didn't sell him. He wanted to leave, go back to Germany. His wife, say no more, right? But anyway, Xhaka. And I've always said to people, right, it's not that we miss Xhaka. The only reason you're whining about Xhaka is because we never upgraded on him sufficiently. Yeah. If we'd upgraded on him sufficiently and the person that came into the squad was like ripping it up and pulling up trees from day one, it'd be like, Xhaka who? Now it's happening. It's taken a bit slower, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to hear Xhaka no more.
Yeah. Xhaka, you know what happens then?
Xhaka took 7 seasons to give us 7 goals in a season.
Yeah.
It took him 7 seasons to get to be able to give us 7 goals in a season. Kai Havertz has surpassed that in his first season.
Yeah.
If you want to like talk about stats, facts, and all of that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to hear no more about Xhaka because I'm beginning to think now that perhaps we have upgraded sufficiently on Xhaka and that Kai Havertz is going to be able to give us a much better return, whether it's goals, assists, and tracking back and breaking play up or whatever. And I'm beginning to see that now. And so what I'm saying is, even though I was dodgy on it and thought it was a sketchy signing in the beginning, I'm not a stubborn person. If I see the effort and the work rate, I can be turned.
Yeah.
And I'm not like Margaret Thatcher. This woman is not for turning. I'm the totally opposite. I'm the totally opposite. Kai Havertz is winning me over, and I'm hoping that this patch, where his form continues, because he seems to be coming into form just when we need it at this sharp end of the season.
And I think the Kai Havertz story so far, and there's hopefully still some more chapters this season to be played out with Kai Havertz. I think it's very similar to the way Arsenal went. We started off, we went pretty quick. The team that we had without Kai was in the team, but we were getting results pretty quick. And then we had that sticky patch, right around Christmas time, where I said to myself, for one hot minute, I was saying, are we missing Granit Xhaka at this point in time?
You know what Chelsea fans that complain about Kai Havertz, in their eyes, they found him to be, and I quote, a streaky player. And what that means is he'll look good for 5 games and then he'll disappear for like a month.
Right. Well, we've had 5 good games from him now. So
this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But one swallow don't make a summer. Season's not finished yet, mate. I like what you're doing, but I want you to maintain. You need to maintain that to the end of the season, and do you know what I mean? And you will get the biggest flowers.
Yeah,
if it is streaky, that's not good for us. We can't do streaky. We need.
He's okay. He scored 4 in a row in the league. He scored 4 in a row in the league.
Overall, over 7, right? He scored over 7 now in the league, right? Which is more than Xhaka. Xhaka's 7 was the magic number, right?
Yep. It was 7 and 7. So we were looking at 14, and I think we're at 11 right now. So I think he's at 8 and 4 or something like that. Yeah. 8 and 3. Yeah. So I think he can do it with the remaining games that are going to be, and the amount of assists that could be out there for the players around him as well.
And do you know what else I like about Kai Havertz? He's a bit of a dick. And I mean that in the night. You know, like what I mean by that is
a sly one.
He's like, like when you see, people on other teams who are like that, but you kind of think to yourself, I wish we had a player like that. Yeah. And when you hear someone go, he might be a bit of a dick, but he's our dick.
Do you know what I love?
And I kind of think that about Kai. We need someone who can play the dark arts and that. And I'm going to say it now, for me personally, he dove. For me, that was a yellow card. For me, that was a penalty with his dive. I personally,
I'm not going that far, but I understand your point of view.
And the way that I describe it is because the referee didn't see it straight on, right? The referee didn't see it straight on. He had to go to VAR and all of that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Is it a penalty or what?" And they're like, "No, look at the screen, blah blah blah. That's not a penalty." So it's not a penalty, right? If it's not a penalty, it should be a yellow card. The only reason the ref can't give him that yellow card, because you can't retrospect, because if he'd seen it at the time and made his decision then, he's got 2 things, right? He's either going to go penalty or dive, yellow card, which means you're off. But do you know what's happening? The ref couldn't make that decision because he didn't see it properly. And once he realized it was a dive, which means it's not a penalty, I don't have to give a penalty, but I can't book the player.
Stan, do you know why the referee?
I'm not slagging Kai off for that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, oh, it's out of order. I actually think he got away with one. And I kind of like that, because I've seen so many times when it's happened the other way. When we've got a player on the other side who's on a yellow, and they do a similar thing. What the fuck? How they get away? We never get these kind of breaks. So I'm glad that we've got a player who can get us these breaks. He needs to be shrewd. If we've got our own version of Neil Mopai, I'm happy. I'm glad.
He's a nice Neil Mopai.
Everybody needs a Mopai. Everybody needs that bit of a git that gives you that needle. You need one, and if that's going to be his role, I'm happy with it.
Go for it. Exactly. Stan, do you know why the referees do not see these incidents anymore? Because they've got 2 linesmen and they've got a team of VAR people that are going to referee the game for them. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, those referees were fitter and they were able to keep up with the play and be in position where they could see these incidents to the best of their ability. Watch a game from 20 years ago and watch a game now. You'll see a much more mobile, active referee. But getting back to Havertz, right? The one that I love, Havertz.
It's about referees not having the balls to make the hard calls and wanting someone else
that too, but they don't see half the incidents either as well. And they want to lean on the guys at the end of the mic.
No, they probably do see the incident, but they want someone else to make the call because they don't want the heat. They don't want the heat.
I mean, we've got 2 weeks, so we might actually talk about VAR and referees this season in a couple of weeks or whatever, leading up to it. You know what I enjoyed about Havertz was in extra time when they were breaking on us, and Havertz puts a full 2 hands into the back of one of the Porto players, and he was spinning his legs trying to stay upright, and eventually the force of Kai Havertz, it was a clear professional foul. He got a yellow card for it. He deserved it, but that's the kind of Neil Maupay play that we need in this team.
Yeah.
The other thing, as BX Gunner said, a 6'4" shithousery, and pushing into into the opposing manager as well.
You know, it's going to happen now, don't you? Because for a long time, it was our detractors would be like, Arsenal, all you got to do is like lean into them now. They got a soft underbelly. Now you're going to hear it. Oh, look at Arsenal bullying and that, they're pushing people around. It's like, well, what do you want? What is it? What is it that you want?
I've heard it.
You want it to be soft pussies or pit bulls? What is it?
Well, I've heard it from the Liverpool contingent when Tsimikas got injured up at Anfield because Saka was protecting himself on the sideline. Tsimikas went down, broke a shoulder bone or collarbone or whatever, and the Liverpool contingent was given Saka loads about that. So Arsenal's not soft anymore. They may think that, but we have players now like Declan Rice, Kai Havertz.
On the other one, right? When Ryan Shawcross takes out someone like Aaron Ramsey, and he's out of the game for several months, what do we hear? What do I hear?
Just an honest professional.
No. What do we hear? He's not that kind of player.
Like, yeah, I
know. Oh, he is that kind of player because he fucking took the guy out and he's out for fucking 6 months.
Yeah.
So he is that kind of. You mean he's not that kind of player? I just saw the foul with my own eyes. He did that. They say about Son. Oh, he's not that kind of player. He is that kind of player because he fucking done it. It's on TV. I saw it.
It's there. About?
What are you talking about? Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about. So we're on Kai Havertz, and we're gonna jump around a little bit with the penalty.
We're gonna be like House of Pain tonight.
Yeah, Kai Havertz penalty. It reminded me of Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's got that confidence. That penalty was just so confident.
I heard a stat about Kai Havertz that he's had. I think it's something like in 41 penalties. Do you know how many he scored? 41.
All of them. He's not missed.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He's never missed a penalty or some shit. He's got a really good record at taking penalties. So that's good.
How do you feel, or did you hear anything about the thought process about who's gonna take the penalties for us?
No.
Was it a volunteer?
No, don't know.
Well, I think I think he was interviewed after he said some of the guys who scored actually missed in training the days before. So you never know. That's a unique kind of pressure, but Kai Havertz stuck that one away really well. After he was second penalty taker, and Odegaard was the first one. And Odegaard's penalty, I think it set the tone, Stan.
Yeah,
you know,
I would say that David Raya's first penalty attempt.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is he? Did you see him? It looked like he just like
he went the other side, right?
He just ran off out the goal somewhere. Like he was like, oh shit, I got to go and get a paper from down the shops, and just ran off to the corner shop so he can get back in time. And I was like, where's he going? But he done very well. But that first penalty attempt, I was like, what the fuck is he doing? It was like, does he think he's wearing a cape or something? What's going on here? But very good in the end. And some very, very good penalties. You know, very good. Some very good penalties, and it's interesting to see that when you see who penalty takers are, right? Sometimes it's like it's not necessarily the striker that's going to be the first person to take a penalty. You know, you expect it to be a striker, but sometimes it's like midfielders, right? And the strikers are sort of like further down, you know, further down
Second
the
order.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do say you want to go with your best penalty takers first. You know,
but you knew
and
Eddie,
hang on, and just like that,
he just slid right in.
just like that, a wild Tony Turner appears.
A wild rabbit, Tony Turner. He just slid into the chat seamlessly, Tony.
Right. Why don't you ask Tony who that second person is looking in his? Why don't you ask him that?
I'm not going to do that.
that's Dr. Jeff Steve Williams.
He's telling you anyway.
My childhood hero.
Tony, so yeah, tell me about the penalty takers. They do say the best penalty takers, you go with your best penalty takers first. So on that basis, Odegaard is the best penalty taker at the club, then Havertz, and then Saka.
You knew the guys that subbed on, they weren't going to be taking it. You knew Nelson. You knew Eddie wasn't going to be taking them.
Zinchenko.
Tony's mate. Tony loves Zinchenko.
Or Jesus.
I love Zinchenko if he was at the 8, but
Tony, it was too early for Jesus. It's not Easter yet. It was too early for Jesus.
Thank freaking God, because we would have lost. We did good enough getting a 1-1 draw.
I think he would have been the 5th penalty taker. But
I thought he was going to say the 5th Beatle.
He would have been the 5th taker. As Moss said, Havertz and Odegaard seen in person. They worked their stocks off. Rice and Saliba too. Really good penalty from Odegaard to set everything off, Tony.
Did you do your homework, Ray?
No, probably not.
Yeah, you didn't watch
the homework you sent me. Is that the homework?
What Gabriel's been doing on the set pieces and stuff?
No, I didn't check into that.
Mega legs.
Yeah, how we basically have a triad of leaders. We got Odegaard, Rice, and Gabriel. Gabriel, they'll have a huddle before they do the kick.
Yeah.
Then Gabriel will start headed towards the rest of the players ready for the free kick. Then they'll head back if they see something different and tell him. Then he's usually telling them, aim for me.
Okay, so it's kind of a plan for what to do on set pieces. Is that what you mean, Tony?
It's exactly a plan, because like they come up with a couple of ideas based on kind of whatever way the defense sets up there. And
I see there are calls for Alonso.
Gabriel tells them to.
Can you please get Alonso in now?
the yin to Tony's yang.
Ready, contrary to popular belief, I do not control Alonso. I am not a puppet master, and I can't.
Yeah, that would be me.
I cannot produce Alonso until he's probably at work right now, watching. You know what I mean?
You know you can't control me, so.
I know I can't control you. So we had Odegaard.
Tony, you can control yourself, mate. So
I know.
Odegaard, a really well taken penalty from Odegaard. Really with some confidence, he took that and
set the tone, didn't it?
Set the tone, and he G'd up.
Excuse my French, but that's one of those, like one of those shots where it's like a fuck off.
Yeah, it was an FU, wasn't it?
Okay, so it's like
it was like Bukayo Sanya when you're 2-0 down in the North London derby and you win 5-2, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Bukayo Sanya.
Well, you look at everybody else taking a penalty, and you're like, right, 100 quid to the first person who can take the net off.
Fucking.
Moss is getting.
He didn't know what to do back there between the sticks.
Take care, Moss.
Getting on a plane, Moss. Maybe running back to Saskatoon now or flying. Thanks for being here, Moss. Hope you had a great time in England watching the games as well. And you you picked a couple of decent games, ones that checked your heart rate, checked, that you still,
That's what you
You
want,
did a
right?
little bit more than
function.
that, Ray.
All right, so listen, leading up to that, I got to ask the question, Stan. I go to you first, Stan.
Okay.
Is it, given the way these last two games played out, with penalties and winning the league game in the 85th minute, you think it's now a good time to take another 3-week break?
Is it fuck?
2.5 week.
No, I personally, we are trending upwards, and as you hear when football players talking on podcasts or in interviews, when you're winning, you don't feel tired. When you're winning, you want to play the next game. It's when you're at the bottom of the league fighting relegation when you start to feel tired midway through the season, your legs feel heavy, and it's difficult to get out of bed. And you can get that, right, because you're not enjoying it. So no, I'm not happy about this. And this could be one small element, because it's about fine margins where we are now.
One 6 weeks ago, let alone another one already. Come on.
Where we are now with Liverpool and Man City it's fine margins between all of those three teams. And maybe having a 2.5 week break is not what we need when we've got this momentum going, where it's almost like we're on this treadmill. Even when the game stops, you put all the players on the treadmill and they just keep running, and they keep running until the next game, and we put them on the pitch and they score more goals. So I don't like this stop start. The only thing I could say is that Tom, he's not throwing grenades, mate. He's launching mortars.
He slid in. He just slid in.
How
it's slid into the conversation, like
mate,
he was here the whole time.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Tom. He's putting Oppenheimer to shame. That's what I'm going to say. So
I hear clicking. I hear a different kind of clicking from the start of the show. It's sounding Oppenheimer bomb.
So what? Anyway, getting back, right. So what I'm saying is, it's like what I would like to see in this break, if there's going to be this break, is organise a friendly, get a match somewhere behind closed doors if you have to. Go to Dubai, do some training in Dubai and play, and then fix up a match with Dubai Town FC in a friendly, and keep everybody,
Moss, keep wearing those boxers, Moss, even if it's for the next 75 days. Please do it till the end of May.
Them off, man, if that's what
Don't take them off ever. We want multiple, what's on those things.
We can have
multiple skids.
Multiple skin marks on that one. Slippery farts, that Tony. So, Stan, I'm going to go counter to what you're thinking. I think we started to slow down. We beat Brentford at the death, and we are pretty tired now after this Champions League. The emotion might have been too high if we went into a league game this weekend.
No. I don't buy it. No, I don't subscribe to that. No, I don't subscribe to that. I just think that winning is infectious.
Another break would do us the world of good, I think, before we go.
I don't think the break did any good the first time, besides.
Well, we won 8 games, Tony.
We had the Last Supper. We had Jesus out. We had Zinchenko out. you take away Mr. Arteta's play toys and
safe travels, Moss. All right, so Stan thinks we should keep playing. Stan thinks we should keep playing. I think a break might be a good thing here. What do you think, Tony?
Ray, were we scoring 5-6 goals a game when Zinchenko and Jesus were in the squad? The answer is no. So no. I don't want to give extra time for those guys to become match fit or anything. Just get all the momentum out of it while you can.
So you'd like to be playing City this weekend?
Yep.
Or Chelsea, even.
You know me, Ray. Every time I don't shy away from a match. Yeah. I think we fucked up with the Spurs thing a couple of years ago. We should have not had that delayed.
I want to give you a chance.
Then last year, everybody was wanting the City game pushed back, and they ended up where we played them like twice in like 3 weeks, and that wasn't good for us. So the Queen dying was a bad thing for Arsenal,
Yeah,
especially.
indeed.
They should have waited for her funeral. I thought it was stupid that they ended up
Tony,
being 3
I want
weeks
to
for the
I want to
Queen.
give you an opportunity to backtrack because you weren't with us earlier. Havertz, not backtrack, but speak about Havertz. What do you like about him, if anything?
He's a tall target guy.
Tall target guy. Did you like his? Do you like his confidence now coming into his game? There was one pass to play where he won a lot of duels against Porto, and there was one pass to play where David Raya hit a long ball to him. He took it down out of the sky, got control of it, and passed it to Saka on the right wing.
He was going up against a 41-year-old player.
Well, that was Trossard who was up against Pepe mainly, you know.
With two Pepes. It's
What
funny they didn't know how to. They couldn't call them by their names. It's
little
like Pepe Junior and Pepe Senior.
senior and junior. I liked Havertz the way he bumped into Conceição on the sideline as well. Showed a little bit of a,
You don't
take
want
that.
too much of a shit housery going on.
Um,
I think we're very lucky about 25 minutes into that second half for refs. Like, I don't want to call any fouls. I don't want to break up this play. I mean, he ended up being like the most valuable player because
the referee was so frustrating.
so
He bought
frustrated. I
into-
thought he was very good.
You thought he was good because he bought into every play acting that Porto were doing. Any kind of corner that was coming in, the Porto
He
players.
didn't do that the last.
If the Porto players felt any contact at all, they were falling to the ground. The referee
He
was
didn't do
buying
it.
it.
He didn't do that the last 25 minutes of
Well, he
time,
did.
the extra 30 minutes of.
He should have been. He should have been kind to Arsenal because he did look a lot like an elderly brother or father of Leandro Trossard, right? Hey, Michael. He looked a lot like Trossard as well. I heard on a podcast that he's a French referee that likes to be the center of attention, you know. And he certainly
I thought he did a really good job.
Okay, so you're the only person on the face of this earth that thought that referee did a good job of refereeing the game.
Like I said, go back, watch that last 20-25 minutes. He was not blowing his whistle.
I saw it. I watched it. Michael said, what a game. I'm glad it's over. Yeah, listen, these are the kind of games that can be frustrating to watch. Roller coaster. That was a roller coaster of emotions, Tony.
Yeah, who said that? Right?
Was that Mika?
That was Mika.
Mika said that roller coaster of emotions.
But not in the closet Arsenal fan.
Not the kind of game I enjoyed. Bukayo Saka scoring the third penalty. David Raya had gotten to save one of them at that point in time.
Did you see the joy that he had when Andre walked out during the last kick because he knew what was going to happen?
Yeah, Mika. Yeah, for sure.
Mika was going crazy.
David Raya even got a little bit of the rub of the green as well because the ball hits off the post, right, and goes back onto his calf. Normally, you're going to see those roll back in over the line, but it actually came back off the post again for one of the saves. Very stressful penalties. I don't want to go through that again, Stan.
No, I hate them. They said Stan, Tony. That's me. That's me. I'm Stan. Yeah, I don't like penalty shootouts. One of my most vivid Arsenal memories was me as a young kid, sat cross-legged on my bed in my full Arsenal kit, watching on black and white TV. Graham Ricks missed a penalty in the UEFA Cup final. I know some of you might remember that. What was it? Valencia, wasn't it?
Was it the Ferris Cup or in the
UEFA
Cup?
Yeah, Valencia and Graham Ricks at the time was my favourite player, and his penalty got saved, and we were out, and I just burst into tears. So I've always had a thing about penalty shootouts since then. I don't really like them that much.
Yeah,
you know. So
you can like them.
David Raya got his fingers. Excuse me. The goal that you said almost went back in. He did get his fingers to that.
Got his fingers onto the post, hit his calf, and came back off the post again. So
it was a save.
A little bit of a rub of the green, and we got the look of the coin toss as well, getting that end of the ground that didn't have the Porto supporters. Probably wouldn't have made a difference at the end of the day. They are professional footballers, but you're looking for every.
I don't think it matters who they're kicking into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it would have mattered though if we were in Porto taking those penalties.
He almost saved the third one, didn't he? I'm sure there was another penalty.
There's one he tipped on to the bar, and it went in the goal, and that was against Grujic or something like that. The guy who went into the back of Havertz.
No, I was talking about against Porto. I'm sure there was a penalty that he almost got another one. I'm pretty sure that he went the right way and he almost got it, and
he got his tip of his hands to it, but tipped it onto the post and went inside in the goal. Yeah. Right.
So he looks pretty tasty. He looks pretty tasty at penalties, although they did bring up his stats of how many penalties that he's been involved in and how many that he's saved. And it's not a good record. It's not like, oh, that's pretty impressive. So he done very well last night. Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe you can say that it could be down to coaching, you know, the preparation. I'm sure that. Do you remember there was a goalkeeper? I can't remember which goalkeeper it was. And when it would get to a penalty shootout, he would pull out of his sock a piece of paper, like he had all of the penalties. And okay, yeah, I know where everyone's going to put it back in his sock. And then who was that? Was it Emma Martinez? Who was that? Does anybody in the chat box remember the goalkeeper?
I bet Tom knows.
I can't remember if it was like a World Cup or Euros, but I remember there was a goalkeeper, and when it would get to a shootout, he'd literally have, as if he had it, you know, pull out a bit of paper from his sock. Yep, he goes there. Yep, got you. Right, I'm ready. So again, it's about maybe the paper was blank, right? But it's about the mind games.
Mental, and that's the little tiny margins we're talking about. Michael said, I think Raya's world class with his footwork. That's, you know, listen, I don't want to be the person to say I told you so. And I wasn't really telling you so.
I am.
I wasn't really telling you so, but I was more of the mind stand that if Mikel Arteta wants to do this between Ramsdale and Raya, let's go ahead and do it, because I can't think of many occasions where Mikel Arteta has been wrong about a player.
I tell you what this has done for me. What it's done for me is it's given me even more confidence when Mikel Arteta is going to make a decision that could be controversial, and there's been a few of them, hasn't there? Yeah. You know, he was the one that championed for Aubameyang to get his contract extended, which resulted in, you know, a big increase in the money that he got. However, when he saw that Aubameyang was no longer willing to work for that paycheck, he was also very instrumental in saying, okay, then we've got to do something about this, and try to get him out of the team. He done the same thing. Tony, hold on, Tony. He done the same thing with Mesut Ozil. Yeah. So he's made some controversial decisions. And when he signed David Raya, at the time it happened, I was kind of the opinion, do we really need surgery there? The guy that we've got, you know, he's not like the best goalkeeper in the world, but he seems adequate. But then again, I kind of felt like that when we brought Ramsdale in and we had Leno. I liked Leno. I thought Leno was all right. But yeah, we know that there are better levels, your Edisons and your Allisons. So when we brought David Raya in, I was like, really? Where did that come from? This is something that needs to be done now? And then Mikel Arteta coming out, and when he made that statement and said, yeah, because there was times last season when I'd be in a game and I would want to make a change of the goalkeeper, but I didn't have the confidence to do so. I was like, wow, that's a revelation. And if I was the goalkeeper, the existing goalkeeper at the time, and I'd heard the manager say that,
Yeah.
I would be like, dead man walking.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying that like he didn't rate Cole Hine, otherwise he would have swapped me for Cole Hine in mid-game.
Or
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when we bought David Raya in, I was like, you know, is that really where we're putting our money? But I have to tell you now, saving 2 penalties in a game that gets us through to the quarter final, for me, I'm like that. That's it, mate. You've earned your stripes.
I'd love to know.
You've arrived. You've arrived.
Yeah.
In the same way that I was saying that now that Kai Havertz has surpassed Xhaka's best season, which took Xhaka 7 seasons to get to, I don't want to hear no more about Xhaka. I don't want to hear no more about the Ramsdale stuff.
Yeah. I
Because
wonder.
as far as I'm concerned, this is going to gives David Raya money in the bank, his credibility. You know what I mean? If he's coming into my pub, he's not paying for his drinks.
So Stan, you told us 93 million. We've now earned 91 million. 91 million. We've now earned 91 million. What would the difference be if we had not progressed? And Raya is the difference, let's say, with the penalty saves.
I don't know that. You mean, what would it have been if we hadn't got? I don't know what the difference. Yeah. That difference financially.
Probably 20 million. Probably the amount of that we have to pay Brentford.
Maybe
to sign him permanently. Probably 27.
He has paid for himself.
Yeah, and I think BX Gunner said earlier, 91 million is almost paid for Declan Rice by itself as well. Well, however you want to allocate that money. Let's give Tony his flowers. He was right about Aubameyang with that contract situation.
And Ozil and Sanchez.
Mikel, but
all of them.
The point remains, Mikel Arteta, in almost every situation, shipping Guendouzi out, shipping Ozil.
He was in the same French 11 that Slava was in.
Yeah, but I can't see Guendouzi in this team now.
Did David Raya get man of the match for that last game?
Yes,
he should have.
He did.
He did.
I'm telling you, for me, saving 2 penalties for me is no mean feat.
No, not at all.
I just don't expect goalkeepers to save penalties full stop. I don't.
Yeah.
I expect every person that takes the penalty to get the ball on target because it's not that far away. You're in the top 1% of the people that play that sport. You should be able to kick the ball between the goalposts. So I don't expect the keeper to save it. He saved 2, man. I think
almost 3.
Tremendous.
Let me ask you another question then, Stan. Let me ask you another question. And we saw Ramsdale being very helpful to David Raya yesterday, protecting, making sure the opposition didn't see what they were doing with the coach, being very supportive. Now, we know Ramsdale is going to move on, Stan, and it's probably going to be a Premier League team. Will you have the same affection for Ramsdale that you have for Welbeck if and when he moves to another club and he's given it large? I don't think he'd give it large to the Arsenal fans either. You know,
the reason, you know, when if I'm watching Match of the Day and Brighton match comes on and Danny will, you know, I want to watch it like I said.
Yeah.
And I do feel similar with Aaron Ramsdale. You know, he's got a good personality about him. He, you know, at the end of the day, he was like Moses for Arsenal. He took us to the promised land, which is the Champions League. Yeah. You know, he was the one that took us on that journey through the desert, through the wilderness, and got us to the gates of the Champions League. Yeah. It's a shame that he's not allowed in. That's why I call him Moses. Yeah, Moses he's not allowed in. He's not allowed in. God said, Moses, you're not allowed in, mate. Past transgression.
Yeah,
he's not Moses, poor guy. So I appreciate that. However, there is one X mark. You know, like in you got pros and cons. And there's loads of ticks in those pros, but in the cons, there's that one tick, and that was his old man doing the podcast on all of that stuff.
Right.
That could have been handled better. There was no need for it, and you know, there's no way that Aaron Ramsdale was unaware that his old man was going to go on the podcast and say those things.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, very naive.
Right.
So we could have. That's for me. That slightly tarnishes, for me, my my opinion on Aaron Ramsdale.
If he goes to a Chelsea or Brent,
That's his fault.
well,
That's
would
his
you wish
problem.
him well? Would you wish him well if he goes to Chelsea? Or be kind of like, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean?
What if he goes to your grandpappy's
If he goes to
team?
Chelsea, I'd probably pray for him. Why would anyone want to go to Chelsea? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
What if he
Money,
goes to Newcastle?
You know? Why?
yeah.
Why would you?
Newcastle as well. I think we'd wish him well, and you're right, Stan. He got us to the promised land. Unfortunate, and a lot of Arsenal fans feel a little bit irritated or some kind of way about he never actually got to play too many games in the Champions League. He played at PSV. He had the one game, so he did play in the Champions League, but he didn't get the lion's share of the games that he helped us qualify for.
Like I said, though, yes, I do have some players that I kind of get a little bit fond of, but I do, I'm 55 now, and I do kind of look at players in the team a little bit like FIFA. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't matter how good you are, if there's money available and there's an opportunity to upgrade on that player, which means that they're going to be better, I'm all for it.
We haven't been good at that over years.
Now I'm at the stage where I now believe that David Raya is an upgrade on Aaron Ramsdale. For me, I think he is an upgrade. So I feel easier about Ramsdale moving on and doing something else, because in my eyes, as much as I like Ramsdale, David Raya, for me, in football terms, I think is a better goalkeeper.
At another 5 or 6% probably in real.
And that's what counts, right? That's what you need.
I wish it was Ramsdale's age, being 28. Means he's probably to have 4 more good years.
Tony, we'll let you tackle this one first, Tony, and then we'll go to Stan. Is David Raya, Alisson, or Ederson level?
I don't think he's there yet. Probably.
Do you not think he's as good as Ederson, maybe? Ederson is prone to some lapses of concentration. We've seen him rush off the line, and he took Eddie and Ketty out last spring for a penalty. He did that again up at Anfield on Sunday.
I don't know. A lot of those keepers have ebbs and flows. I just think of being 28, he's at his peak. So
I think Alisson is probably at the top of his game right now. Ederson's just a little bit of a level below, but I think David Raya has, if he hasn't already, he's got the potential to be as good as Ederson, I believe. So I would probably put him in the top 3 or 4 keepers in the league. Right?
I always find it very hard to judge the true quality of a goalkeeper, because a lot of it does depend on what you've got in front of you. So, for example, if you've got a goalkeeper,
defenders,
if you've got a goalkeeper where you've maybe got the defense in front of the goalkeeper isn't quality, and then a goalkeeper where there's going to be a lot of shots on goal, and the goalkeeper is constantly pulling saves out and he's saving it, he's tipping it over the bar, blah, blah, blah. You could maybe look at that, watching it on TV and go, he's a really good goalkeeper. Wouldn't mind getting him. Look at him saving all of that. He's constantly saving, he's keeping them in the game. But I've always felt that the best way to judge a goalkeeper is the goalkeeper that can be stood in between the sticks and for 60 minutes has not had to have a problem. Everything's being dealt with. But then maybe in the 75th minute, a big attack comes and he has to do something. Because if you're in goal, and from the minute one, because you're a bit of a shit team, you're constantly having the attack come on you. You are switched on from the minute one. You're like boom, boom, boom. Like your adrenaline's pumping. You're switched on. But if you're playing in a really good team like a Man City or a Liverpool, where you're doing a lot of the attacking, and you're winning games 4-1, 5-1, or 5-0 even, for example, that means then that you're not being worked a lot, really, constantly, but you show your quality that one time that you're called into action, no matter what minute it is, might be the 85th minute, could be the 65th minute, you do the job and you pull off that save. That's world class for me. Mm-hmm. More than someone that's being peppered on and is constantly, it can be misleading, because that same goalkeeper might not have the same mindset to be playing for a top class team where they're not going to get worked, but when they do get that one opportunity, they ain't ready. They're not switched on. So that's how I judge a goalkeeper.
Right.
And David Raya, I haven't seen enough of him yet. It's not even been a season, and I never really watched him. I never really watched him at Brentford in close attention.
No, we
But
were
what
aware of him.
I say what I do like is the man has saved 2 penalties to get us into the quarterfinals, and for me, that's money in the bank.
Yep. As Michael said, that's what Raya has given us. He doesn't be in the game for 60 minutes then. Had a few saves to make in the last 5 games. So I don't remember, and whether this is about our defense, as Stan has been saying or not, I cannot look back at a game and say David Raya made a save for us that won us a point.
So you know what? Sometimes I honestly think that's why Jordan Pickford looks like a really good goalkeeper, because he has to pull off a lot of saves during the game.
Yeah.
He's constantly being kept on his toes. You know, the adrenaline's pumping, he's on his toes and he's alert. But how would he be if he was playing in a team where you ain't got to do nothing, man, and then 80 minutes in, now something's going down. Are you on it?
Yeah.
That's where it counts. Teams shouldn't have many chances coming at them, right?
So David Raya man of the match last night, but this gives me an opportunity to go toward England now, Stan, and talk about Gareth Southgate for a couple of minutes, right? And we've heard the news today, right?
Before you move on,
yeah.
Ray,
Go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
Talking about what Stan said, I think fans forget something. Leno's first final year with us, he had 31 different back 4 lineups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how are you to be able to communicate or know what the defensive pairings do when you have that many different combinations?
What period was that?
It was the year before he left.
Before who left?
Before Leno left.
All right. So what you mean? So under Emery,
Chopping and changing.
was the chopping and changing under which manager?
I think it was one with Kem Fifth.
Under Arteta.
Arteta's second year.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So
Doesn't help.
So now in 2024, it seems that and 2023, he's not doing that anymore. He's not chopping and changing the defense as much as that now.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say then that he's improved in that area, right? Because you're right. If you're constantly chopping and changing your defense, that's not help. That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help the defenders or the goalkeeper.
You have to remember who those guys were, because
exactly.
Mustafi was there for part of it. He had
the Colonel
quite left it. Yep.
The Colonel was still in the house.
Colonel Mustard, we love you.
Nobody had told Liechtenstein that the war had ended.
Which would
Socrates,
Papa, and
Papa.
Other ones, Luis would be.
Papa was in the house.
Certain for
and the tank.
Yeah, Gabriel was like the only one you had back there.
We had the tank as well, Kolasinac, right?
Yeah, the tank.
Well, he was playing in midfield.
What a crew! Like now, Stan, we must have known it at the time, right? But it was all marshaled by David Luiz. He would have some good games, some bad games, but David Luiz mostly good, I would say.
No, I hated David Luiz playing for Arsenal. I really thought that was one of the worst things that we did, and I was so glad when he left. I know that there's a lot of people, don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of people that really likes David Luiz, and there's a lot of people that don't. I'm one of the people that don't.
All right.
I never signed him. For me, it's kind of like a William Gallas kind of a signing. Whiny bastard, no good for the youth. Get out of there,
all
man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let's skip into the England cap, right? Can we, Tony? Or anything else?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say, like Luis was like spinning a little wheel around. He didn't know where his stop. Is it a red card, Luis, or he's somebody you couldn't trust back there?
Yeah, Tony, we went from David Luiz, Colonel Mustard, Kolasinac, Socrates, you know,
Yeah.
to play. Now we have players like Gabriel Magalhaes, William Saliba, Kivior, Timber,
Yeah,
Tomiyasu,
but
White.
you know a secret, Ray? We had Kivior last year, and a player doesn't get that much better in a year's time, half a year's time, Ray.
Players can get better.
Not that much, Ray.
Players can
You
get better. He needed to
you
know.
you
He
can't
needed to
say with
know
a
with the
straight
players.
face that he wouldn't have got us the 3 extra points or whatever we needed to win the freaking league.
Brownie, we love you,
He would have
Brownie.
done it.
Listen, we love you, Brownie. So happy that we see you on podcasts now every day. So we appreciate you, Brownie. But yeah,
I like
Brownie's
Burnt Leno. I like Burnt Leno. I was a Burnt Leno fan.
come into
What do you-
2024, Tony.
I like Burnt Leno.
Tony's a history teacher of all sorts.
I was wrong.
All right, what's going on with Ben White and Gareth Southgate? Did they have a Barney or what? What's going on, Stan?
So apparently what happened was Gareth Southgate was asked about Ben White, and he said that he received a telephone call from Edu. He said there was a load of crackling in the background. He was probably on the barbecue, like flipping some steaks and that, while he was talking on the phone.
Sizzle.
Cigar hanging out of his mouth. So, all right, G, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? Just wanted to let you know that our man Benny Blanco is literally blanking the England squad. Oi, oi, Savile, oi, and put the phone down. So basically, he said what that translates to.
Did it again.
What that translates to is basically he says that he got a call from Edu who said that Ben White doesn't want to be considered for selection for the England team. End of story. And he was asked about that, and Gareth Southgate said that he was welcome, and obviously, he's a good player, that they would miss him and all that. But he said that the word that he used was, he said that that Ben White was reticent.
Yeah,
that's the word that he used. And if you look that word up, I'm like, well, that's bollocks. So, what do I think? What do I think has happened? I don't know the reason. I don't know the reason why Ben White came back from the World Cup squad, but there was something. There was some of the stories and rumors mentioned a guy called Steve Holland, who's a coach, and it was funny because even Gareth Southgate brought that up. He said, like, there's been stories and that which I don't like. If they want to talk about me, that's fine. That's what I'm here for. But bringing Steve Holland into it, so I don't know what happened, but I don't know, right? But something that I sort of like, things that I've heard people saying, I don't know how true it is kind of appears like maybe Ben White was on international duty. There was something that went on, some kind of a personal issue that needed. That needed a kind of a HR approach, this is not about football. This is maybe something else. I'm guessing, and maybe the coaches or the managerial staff didn't deal with it in the right way, and kind of Ben White maybe feels like, well, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? I had a bit of a problem, and they treated, I didn't get, and he's sticking to his guns. And they're like, do you want to come and play for England? He's like, no, I ain't forgotten about that shit that went down. I'm paraphrasing, I'm guessing, but I don't know nothing, right? I know nothing. I'm from Barcelona, but I'm just saying that some of the things I'm hearing from different places, and I'm putting pieces together, it sounds like something went down. Something happened. He decided that he didn't want to. He was off, and whatever happened is it still is something that he can't let go of.
So surely,
he's got a problem there, and he's like, no. While it's this same setup, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
no,
because that happens.
When I needed you, or when I had this thing going on, do you know what I mean? You treated me like, you just mugged me off.
Yeah, and look. Before we went live, Stan, we were talking about Roy Keane, and Roy Keane has been a man who's not been afraid to talk about the Irish setup and left a really good chance of getting even to a quarter final with Ireland in South Korea with the
But-
bust off with Mick McCarty. So
Oh, that was
Michael said, "What?"
That's classic. Brilliant bust up.
Michael said he's probably going to miss out on some trophies, and I'm an Irishman. LOL. So we can relate to that, Michael, with the whole Ireland setup.
But
Benjamin Blanco. Yeah.
my personal opinion on this whole thing is, in a nutshell, is I'm just glad that he's not going away on England duty, and it's not another Arsenal player that has a problem to get injured. Because when I was a bit younger, I always said to myself, "There's two things in football that I want to see in my lifetime. I want to see Arsenal win the Champions League, and I'd like to see England to win the World Cup for the experience of it, right?" But I'm not really. I'm not really one of these like England, I book it. Oh, there's the England thing on, and I have to book a day off because it's going to clash with my work schedule. So I have to use a day's holiday to watch the. I'm not into it like that. World Cup and that. I don't really give a fuck. Maybe start watching some games in the latter stages. But I like club football. I'm a club football. For me, international breaks is getting in the way of the shit that I like. It's like, oh, fuck that. You're getting in the way.
Yeah.
Even when I'm playing FIFA and all that, and they say, like, such and such wants you to be the international manager. I'm like, fuck off. I'm busy here, man. I'm doing shit. No.
Well, what rounds are to be?
Top of the morning to you, Boise.
All right, boys.
Tony?
Is it a be early ones?
But
what's that?
What rounds are to be there? Is it just for group stages in Vancouver World Cup? And
no idea, mate. I don't know. I don't think they've like decided it yet.
Yeah, they decided it about a month ago.
I've not heard. I'm not seeing that.
Exactly, boys. Happy St. Paddy's weekend to all of you. Exactly.
But the one thing that there is going to be backlash now with this Ben White situation, because I was I'll tell you what, because I was at work, and on the way to work, sometimes on the way home, I'm always listening to maybe a podcast, or I might put on Talk Sport because I can get that here. Yeah. And as I got into work, like they started the drive show, and they were talking about all of the topics that got coming up. We're going to be talking about who's been picked for England, and what about Ben White? Saying that he didn't want to play for England. Do you agree with him, or do you think that he's a disgrace, as a lot of people are saying? Phone in now, and then I have to switch off. And I'm like, right. So you're going to get a lot of people, maybe from other clubs, like those really patriotic England supporters. They're like, he's been offered to play in England, and he's snubbed it. They're going to look at it like a snub, and they're going to say that it's a disgrace. Who does he think he is? It's a disgrace. So this is going to come up. We're going to have this noise while we're having our running, and we've got our busy time now. There's going to be some noise, so we have to. Remember.
I don't think it'll be very.
And there's going to be no football for the next 3 weeks for us. So there's no football to report on. They've got to talk about something. There's going to be more about this Ben White thing.
So Stan, Gareth Southgate probably contacted Arsenal and Edu saying, listen, we want to call up Ben White. He's been playing well. Do you think that's how it goes down, right? England come calling, and then the club says, all right, he's available, he can go? Or how does it work?
Well, the way that it's been presented from Gareth Southgate, he is saying that he received a telephone call from Edu, the sporting director. So Gareth Southgate didn't get his phone out and phone Arsenal. What? Gareth Southgate was like sitting, he was like driving along the road in his car, and his phone rang, and it was Edu. Oh, hello. Yeah, it's Edu here. All right, what's going on? Yeah, Ben White says, fuck you. He ain't want to play for you. Bye.
Why would Edu call him? Why would Edu call him? England would have had to.
Because they're trying to intimate that Ben White has said to Arsenal, because obviously Arsenal, players have to go away and international duty and all of that. And he's probably said, oh, yeah, if we're going away to Dubai, I'll come because I don't want to play for England. Yeah. He probably told Arsenal, I don't want to play for England.
So it wasn't really right of Gareth Southgate to throw him under the bus here, like Red John's saying. By talking about
I get what you're saying. I mean, He's not saying. Yeah, we contacted Arsenal to select Ben White, and then Arsenal told us that Ben White said that he didn't want to.
That's probably how it went down.
He's saying that he received a call.
No,
You
but
know,
that's
there I am. I'm minding my own business. You know what I mean? There I am minding my own business. You know, sitting in the park feeding the ducks, and my phone goes, and it's fucking Eddie telling me that Ben White don't want to play. I mean, what the fuck?
But Stan, that's like you saying you could call England right now, Stan, and say, "Listen, I'm in Vancouver this weekend. I can't play for England." That's what it sounds like. England would have had to have reached out to Arsenal first.
Yeah. So was it a preemptive strike from Ben White? You know, is it a preemptive strike or yeah? But
you have to get the invite first.
But whatever it is like they're saying that Ben White has ruled himself out. They're not even saying that we were. They're not even saying that we were going to select him. They're saying that we can't select him because he's ruled himself out.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. So they're kind of covering themselves. They're not saying that. He's saying he's impressive. He's playing really well. He's in the team that's at the top of the league. However, they've told us that he ain't interested. So what do you want me to do?
I can state that.
They're not saying we contacted him and he told us to fuck off. They're saying that we can't, even if we wanted to, we can't because his club has said that no, he doesn't want to.
Tony,
go. And I'm happy with it.
Is it that surprising from a guy that doesn't love football, doesn't watch football?
Not that surprising. No.
I mean, he'd rather just go be with
He literally treats it like his 9 to 5.
He'd rather just go be with his wife and kid.
He's like England duty, 2 weeks in Ibiza.
Yeah. It's like if you're my boss wants to take me to wherever, right?
Yeah.
But it's not mandatory. I'd be like, no.
I don't think it's that. I mean, again, we all say that, like, he don't give a fuck about football. He's like, I'm only doing the club stuff. But I actually think, for me, that he didn't enjoy, something happened, which meant that he didn't enjoy that environment.
Exactly.
Right? He didn't enjoy that environment. He's come home from the World Cup. It's not like he was selected for the World Cup, but he went, nah, I ain't doing that. He went.
Yeah.
He went, right? He was like, okay, I'll go. And then something happened that we don't know. And he's like, hey, I'm going home. And and whatever it is, it's left him in a position where he's like, no, man, fuck you.
I mean, look at this.
I haven't forgotten. Something he's like, I ain't forgot. He's pissed off. He's like, no, I don't.
Red John is here. He said Ben White had 0 minutes in the World Cup. Man preferred Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw over White. And I think Mikel Arteta is being quoted as saying that he understands Ben White and what he needs. There was quotes to that effect. I think Ben White is suited to international football, but is better than Kyle Walker or Trent. But I think that's the thing. Trent will be preferred over Ben White in the long run because
they've actually. I listen to football stuff a bit and talk sport and talk about England, and I've noticed for some reason when they keep talking about England now, and they're talking about England's midfield, Trent Alexander's in the midfield. He's not at right back. He's in the midfield.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying.
They must have disrespected
the best midfield. They're saying that the England midfield should be Bellingham, Declan Rice, and Trent Alexander.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Michael's got a good one here. He's busy playing Champions League and Premier League.
Football Manager.
Sorry, Gareth. I got more important things going on. You ever hear of the Champions League and the Premier League?
But it's always been an issue of the club wanting to release the players to the nations.
Yep. Alex Ferguson was the best. Alex Ferguson was the best at it.
And Wenger was
with Tony's. All right, Tony, you got to explain your part.
You're on. Tony, you're on.
This is Dr. F. T. Williams. Born in Oklahoma.
Hang on, Ray, can you put him on the big square? Can you put Tony on the big square, please?
Oh my God, really?
All right, go on, Tony.
How do I do that?
Tony?
Hold on, I got to figure this out first.
Let's give
Right,
Tony the
so
floor,
on the
please. We've got to give
controls.
Tony the floor on this.
I don't know how. Okay, there we go. No, I'm not able to do this.
No?
Raise the
Tony.
piston at my controls.
I'm Stan, forgive me.
Who is it, Tony?
And this is Dr. F.C. Williams, my childhood hero. I literally
All right, here we go.
watched him
Got it.
wrestle when I was 4 years old. Yep, there's Steve, Mr. Steve Williams.
I like that one, Stan.
That was his high school nickname, Dr. Death. What better name do you have than that? Pretty cool nickname. Anyway, he wrestled for the University of Oklahoma.
Tony's
Jim
on the
Ross.
big screen now, Stan.
And then Tony's not. Steve is. See?
Okay.
Stop trying to cut Steve off, right? But anyway, Jim Ross, which was with a wrestling promotion Mid-South, really liked the guy and was constantly
Stan, you
pushing
created
him.
this monster.
I know.
You created him.
And then he
He's
went to
not
win the
Not talking about.
NWA
Tony's lovely. Look at his
championship.
face.
I'm not talking about the dolls, Stan. You created Tony here. You brought him out of his shell. He used to say yes and no all the time.
Here's the thing, though. I can destroy Tony in one moment. He knows what I'm going to say, but you know Tony, don't you? Steve Williams. What happened?
Don't talk about the guns.
You know the ball for all. You know.
Don't Mr. Gun.
Was he a wrestler, Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
It was Tony's favorite wrestler, right? Hang on. It was Tony's favorite wrestler, his boyhood hero, and they brought him into the WWE, and they were going to put him into an angle with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they started doing like this boxing match competition, and everyone's like, "Yeah, he's going to win because he's so tough." But they told the wrestlers, "Yeah, he can properly box," and Tony's hero got knocked out in the ring and was spark out,
and
Tony cried.
He was supposed to have a championship run.
And that was it. Now they were like, we can't use this guy in the wrestling anymore because everyone's seen him get knocked out. Everyone thinks he's shit. And that was the end of it.
Here you go, Japan.
Ben White gets it. Ben
Anyway.
White gets it.
Anyway, we digress.
Gary is here. He brought himself onto the stage.
I didn't try to do that. I just tried to come in.
And just like that, a wild Gary appears.
Hello, people.
Hello. We're on the Ben White.
I'm glad I came on after Tony's bit.
Yeah, Tony's wrestler bit.
Whatever that is.
We gave him the widescreen, Gary. We gave him the widescreen. I don't know why we did it.
After it took Ray like 15 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah, I saw that too. Ray doesn't know what he's doing. I get it.
I know what I'm doing. It just takes me a little while. Right?
Oh.
That's what she said.
You know what you're doing. It just takes me longer than normal.
That's what she said. You know what you're doing. It just takes you a little while, Gary.
Meanwhile, she's a bad painter now.
Hey, Gary, I'm really good at it now, but I've been practicing all my life.
There you go.
All right, what's going on with
perfect, right?
What's going on with Ben White?
It's hard to know what to believe on that one, but you know what? I don't know who's the fan of Southgate.
Not many.
I mean, the England could not have a stronger, list of talent on that team. And they're not even letting some of the players in, right? So some of the better talented players are still on the outside looking in. So I don't know. He's wasting a generation of talent there. I mean, I don't know. He's bored of his toys.
I guess you need to bring a mascot with you now, Gary. I'm not going to do it though.
I don't have any of that stuff. So sorry.
Brownie said, just watch the Southgate interview, Stan, and the reporter didn't follow up on his question. The Southgate defends Holland, but defend him against what? If it wasn't Holland, why doesn't he want a call up? You know. And I'll put that question to you, Gary.
I read something on Twitter. I guess I don't know if you're supposed to believe Twitter or not, but it just talked about the whole situation in Holland against the assistant who was pretty much going at Ben White during practice, talking practice, right? And nobody, and it didn't seem like Southgate like either backed him up or he was looking for a little bit of support there and didn't get it. So, I don't know. Ben White, to me, as much as people say he doesn't like football, I think he, as some people say, he probably treats it as a job. But guess what he does when he's on the job? I believe he performs, right?
Yeah, and Gary, we've seen.
Sometimes, sometimes they tell you all the time, do you want to know how the sausage is made? And he's telling you how he feels. Some people, they don't want to believe that a footballer just does it as a job. And, do we think he's holding back? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. When you look at every time there's a corner kick coming, if that guy didn't care, you would see it. He wouldn't even bother, right? But it's entertaining to watch him in the box. As people are getting wound up by him just trying to, move around in there and stuff like that. So I feel like, he knows what he's doing. I mean, I think we didn't get the full truth basically when he said he doesn't watch football. I think he doesn't eat, sleep, and drink it, but he performs well, so he's not holding back when he's on the pitch, and that's more than some of the players, I believe. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know if this is the end of Southgate, but I think this is a firing shot. That guess what? Some of your better players don't even want to play.
Wow, they're going to
play for England.
Can I play a devil's advocate card? And I do agree. I do agree with a lot of the things that what Gary has said about the international manager. But if I'm going to play a devil's advocate card, has there ever been an English manager that has achieved more other than Sir Alf Ramsey, who won the World Cup in '66? There isn't. Finals and semi-finals have become competitions. I mean, before that, the closest we got was what, under Robson.
We're looking.
I'm just playing a devil's advocate.
All right, I'm coming back at you. And
he has got us. After Sir Alf Ramsey, he's the closest. You know what I'm saying?
Stan, we now have San Marinos in this world. We now have minnows in international football, which makes international competitions much easier to qualify from if you're England. The standard of international football has gone downhill. And as Gary has said, this is probably the best group of players any England manager has come close to in 30 or 40 years.
In order to win it, you've got to be in the final. Other than Gareth Southgate and Alf Ramsey, who's got us to a final?
Fair.
Yeah, but you know what?
When win if you don't get to the final, right?
But how many people thought that he was screwed up?
Don't get me wrong. I agree with a lot of the things you've been saying. But he has been able to somehow maneuver us through qualifying, through group stages, and get us to a final. You can't be shit if you've done that. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yes, you can
say that you don't.
Think about this, right? Think about this, right? Michael Jordan was a star long before Phil Jackson got there. Chicago needed somebody to get them across the line. They were getting close, but not far enough. They were losing in Eastern Conference Finals and the playoffs and all of that. Phil Jackson came in and was able to take that level of player and basically put them on the map for like 6 out of like 8 years, right? They won a championship. That's where I feel the England squad is right now, and it's just shorter. These players, some of these players are coming and going, right? So I feel like he can only get them so far, right? Yes, he got them to the finals, but the way that team played and some of the things that were done in there, I just like they're even better now.
You've got to get to the finals, and then it's 90 minutes. The players have got to do their part, right? I'd understand it if it was like, you know, we're looking at Gareth Southgate and it's like, you know, he's only just getting us out. He's getting us qualified, and we keep getting knocked out in the round of 16. And you know, between him and Alf Ramsey, we've been to the finals twice with
looking,
other managers.
so,
no one else has done it. We've tried
Stan,
other managers.
In
fact,
Stan,
probably
once again, the
the best
question comes
manager
up,
we've had since Alf Ramsey is probably Sam Allardyce with his 100% record.
well,
Played
listen,
one, win one.
But
That's
Stan,
it.
do you think he can? But Stan, do you
Who's
think
had
he
that
can
much
cross the
talent,
line
there,
though?
Stan?
Hey Stan, do you think he can make it across the line?
Well, you got to get to the final to get.
No, that's not the question. That's not. No, don't change the question. Do you think he's the one to get them across the line to where at the end, when the whistle blows,
yes,
they're
if you can
walking
get
up
them,
into the
if you
stands
can get them to the final, because it's 90 minutes of
No,
football.
that's not the question.
Yes,
I asked
my
you the
answer
question.
is yes.
Do you think he can
My
win a
answer
trophy
is
for
yes.
them?
Okay, my answer is yes.
all right, both of you. I've got what we Arsenal have won on penalties to get into the quarterfinals. England lost on penalties. That's the fine margin in the Euro final, the European Championship.
I just thought it was. I thought it was crazy.
And you
I
can't
thought it was
pin that on
crazy
the
to
manager.
put
You
three
can't pin that
of
on the
your
manager.
youngest players.
All right,
Think about it.
time.
You've got Euros on the line. I just thought it was
bring
crazy
in
to put
three under 21 players, right?
Three of your youngest players in the firing line to take those first, three of those.
We don't know how the penalties were picked.
Yeah, but if you're the manager and you get to a penalty shootout, right, and those players that are probably considered senior players are shirking away and not volunteering themselves for players, what are you going to do? You still need people to take them penalties. And for me, if some of those younger players are willing to take it on their shoulders, they weren't ready, but at least they were willing to step up, because there were some older players that were probably like, you're like, right, penalties, and you see the body language, you see people.
Yeah,
I'm not here. I'm not here.
Yeah.
You can't see me.
That's but that also epitomizes the manager, man. That shows you kind of what kind of manager he is. They don't want to stand up for him.
yeah.
No,
there's a trophy on the line. You're telling me that some of these senior players don't want to win it for their country?
They might have.
What's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do? Not pick Marcus Rashford if he's in one of those rare seasons when he's doing well, even though we all know he's a dickhead and can be moody. He's going to have to pick him. It's not like you can transfer players and like in the club, you've only got a certain pool that you can choose from.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen.
And if you're the manager, and can you imagine that you're working with these players? Gary, you seem like a nice bloke. If you was managing the team, I don't think that that you'd have players in the corner going, he's a fucking arsehole, that guy, he's a bully or whatever. You come across like a reasonable guy. Can you imagine how you would feel that you've been working with these groups of players for a period of time, and now it comes down to the cut and thrust of it, and you're in the penalty shootout, and you're looking out to see who's going to come up and stand up, and some of those senior players now are like, you can't see me.
I hear you.
Imagine how crushed you would feel.
That epitomizes. If that's what you think,
in that moment, you've still got to pick those penalty takers now.
If that's what you think, then that right there shows me that Southgate's not the guy. Are you kidding me? If that's what you're thinking, then Southgate's not the guy. If he's got players on there that don't want to be up there and score the winning goal to win a trophy, that's what you think. I don't think that's true, but I mean, you might be saying it to show me the other side, but I don't believe that. If that's the case, then he's definitely not the right manager. Isn't that like their first or second international duty for some of those? It was like some of their earlier days, like they hadn't even probably had that many games in their bag, right? Because that would have been 2-3 years ago, right? And Saka's only been around he's only been in the Arsenal first team for about 4 or 5 years now, right? So we're talking about 2-3 years into his professional career where he's starting and playing many games for us. So now all of a sudden he's able to kick, and I don't, like I said, I think it was I think if they only had those 3 players and nobody else, and Harry Kane should have taken that first kick then. Let's start the ball rolling off on a big note, right?
I've seen England, right? I've seen England. I've seen England go out of many tournaments on a penalty shootout, right?
Yeah.
And I look at a player like Chris Waddle, who was a very, gifted football player. When he walked up for that penalty, when I watched him walk up for that penalty, I was like, this ain't happening. You could see the body language.
He looked
That's not down to the manager. The guy walked up for that penalty, and I knew right there and then that he was not going to score. And if you watch if you go and watch it on YouTube now and watch him walk up, tell me anyone that would be like, sometimes you can get to people, and he was like one of the best players in the country, Chris Waddle.
Yeah.
So,
listen,
don't get me wrong. I do. I'm not a Gareth Southgate supporter. I do think he's got some major flaws. And with some of the people that he has a favourites like Maguire and Henderson, and then, pick people that are in form.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I was just like, I was hearing about the defense that they brought in, and Tomori is still not able to make the England squad. And Henderson is, and it's like, wow. I don't know. You got some nice young talent there, but they're not
I don't
playing.
think Southgate. I don't think Southgate is the best manager out there, but I do think the players are behind him that he has, and he's loyal to.
Ben White's not.
Huh? Ben White's not.
Ben White's not.
He's not behind them. So Gary, you probably heard us talking about that. How do you think it happens that Edu just calls Gareth Southgate and says,
"Yeah, I don't understand that.
There has to be some."
I don't, because we barely want to say yes, so now we're calling it to saying no. It seems, of all the, it seems really weird that we would actually call them and say no, our player's not coming, as opposed to, we'll see if they even want you to come, right? And then we'll
first
make
you
that
have to be
then.
First you have to be offered or considered for England.
It seems a little bit out of. It sounds. I just don't feel like Arsenal's one of those. Like, they don't do that kind of stuff in other situations where they'll be rushing to get their message out there. They usually don't.
Yeah.
They usually wait to
But
respond.
Southgate, for some reason, he was asked by the reporter, and he was very keen to tell the reporter that Edu has knocked us back about that. Rule said here, it's obvious that Southgate and his coaching staff are not people that Ben White would like to share company with. And we've seen a recent video of, I saw it this morning, fellow Arsenal players saying good things about Ben White.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't even know why. Why would Gareth Southgate even bring that information up? Like, nobody needed to know. Like, I chose my team. This is like the whole Arsenal. This is like the Arteta thing. I picked the players that wanted to play for me, right? That wanted to play for the shirt, and that's who's here, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, and you can deduce what you want, but to come out and like give all this extra information that I don't think was warranted. Because now what you do, either you both look bad, right? Who wants to play for Southgate, and Ben White doesn't want to play for England? So now what? It doesn't help anybody out, right? So there might be players in that locker room that are playing there, looking at Southgate, kind of like, what? So you mean if I tell you something in private, you're going to go push it out there to the media?
Yeah.
Right, because it's Southgate answered that was the one telling that was the one pushing that message that what happened out there, right?
Even if you're a footballer and you're playing for whatever club it may be, and you're a player that gets called on for international duty, I honestly think that if you don't want to play international football because when the season's over, perhaps you'd rather spend time with your family and go on holidays and stuff like that, I don't give a fuck. I'm not like, oh, I'm patriotic and a disgrace. It's up to the individual. I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what's going on in their life. They make their decisions based on the decisions that they feel is best for them and their family. Yeah, of course it's an honor to play for your country, but if somebody doesn't, that's not really their thing. That's their choice. That's up to them. I'd rather they did that than go there begrudgingly and play like shit because they don't really want to be there. You know what I mean? So I don't get caught up into all of that kind of stuff. Ben White don't want to play for England. They'll play for him for sticking to his guns for whatever he feels that he's been slighted or whatever. He doesn't want to do that. He still turns out for Arsenal and gives like 7 out of fucking 10 performances most week. Happy days.
Yeah. No, this is I mean, I guess this thing about the beginning of the season when Gabriel was sitting on the bench, right? Arteta's like, well, if he's got his eye on the door, guess what? He don't play for me, right? I know.
Yeah.
Right, you're like, yeah, he didn't want to be here, so he's not going to play. So
Well, there was
sorted out, right?
controversy. Yeah, he was in.
No, you were on the side of Arteta, like, I'm not going to play.
His
while
head was
you
being
got your
turned
eyes
by
turned.
Saudi.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
there was interest in him. Yes.
So, and guess what? Arteta said, all right, I can't play you because you're not 100% with me, right? Well,
Yeah.
guess what?
Focused. Yeah.
Ben White's not 100% with Southgate and made it easy on Southgate and said, I'm not coming. All right.
Yeah.
However that turned out, like I don't even want you to think about it. And maybe things will turn. And Ben and Southgate did say 100% if he wants to come back, he will. And he's left it open there. But I think that information getting out there, I believe it came from Southgate. I think that was information that wasn't necessary to be out there.
Yeah, it's strange that he could have easily been very political about it and declined to comment on a player who wasn't coming to the setup. You know what I mean? But he was very free with that information. So I bet you Harry Redknapp would be better than Southgate.
No, I think you need a little something different. That Southgate is. I just like I'm looking at the.
He's defensive minded.
The women's U.S. team, right? The manager, the coach is going to be going there. Everybody says, when they're competing against her, they hate her, right? Because their teams play a certain way, and they are talented. But they play a certain way, and they got a little bit of extra in them. And I think that little extra in them is why Italy was able to get by England in that final, right? I mean, they had that little bit of extra that they needed. I don't think they were anywhere near as talented, and not as deep either. And neither one was showcased in that squad enough to get them across the line. So I think you are to some degree wasting that talented team that you have. They should be much better than they are, especially in the attack, right? Defensively, that might be a little bit suspect, but in that attack, they've got some, Harry Kane, one of the top strikers in the world. Foden, one of the best, attackers. Saka, one of the attackers.
Yeah.
I mean, just like you think about all the players
Bellingham.
they have on that they can put up there, right?
Yeah, Bellingham.
We saw like
when they get to defenders, they're not great.
Yeah.
Defenders and goalkeeper are not great. I wouldn't rate.
You know what? If you're winning 3-2, you'll so for me, if that's the case, then you should be able. Then whatever you're good at, that should be how you win the matches, right?
Yeah.
Not because if you're really,
they will have to score 3 goals.
You win 4-2. Who cares? Because that's you utilizing your skill set.
Yeah.
To the fullest, right?
I feel we need a lot more Arsenal players to tell Gareth Southgate, nah, I'm not interested this month. Don't call me this month. We got more important things to worry about, a Champions League and a Premier League double. And here's the question, Gary. Does Arteta leave by sticking 2 fingers up if we win either one of these trophies to the Arteta outers and goes to Real or somewhere else? I don't believe so. I think Arteta's here to create some kind of a 5 to 6 year window.
Yeah, I can't see him doing that because if he had that kind of thought in his head, then he would play his style. The way his teams would play would be so different. You know what I mean? A team like Porto wouldn't be able to get one over on us. It would be a little bit more cutthroat in that situation. So I feel he's got. I think he's his own man, but I don't think he's doing this to leave to go like this.
Yeah.
Who knows are there greener pasture somewhere else? I don't think so. Not if you're going to build this up from scratch the way you have. This is exactly everybody believes he has the full control of the situation. So why would you want to go somewhere else where they might have problems?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's no we're building Arsenal into a team that could be the best in England and the best potentially in Europe as well. Red John, we will talk about who we want to draw in the next stage very shortly. Sten, what have you got on Arteta?
But what if the unbelievable happened? All right, this is a Spanish man at the end of the day, right? His home country is Spain, who came through the academy at Barcelona with Pep Guardiola. What if the imaginable happened, right? And Arsenal win this season, the UEFA Champions League and the Premier League. And I mean, it would be fair to say that if that happened, whatever the schedule was or the timeline that Mikel Arteta and the coaching staff have set out in our progress for success, it would be fair to say that would be fucking bang on head of a schedule, right? If you would double like that, that would be ahead of schedule. And then in the midst of all of that, a club like Barcelona comes in and puts in a really, tough bid for Arteta. Could Arteta at that stage think to himself, the project's gone a lot quicker than possible. I've won an FA Cup. I've won a Champions League now, and I've won this team the league. And I've left, and I've got a team that I've built, which is a quality team that can go on for a long time. Maybe Barcelona won't be around in whatever many years' time. It's not like I'm leaving Arsenal on the brink. I've made them promises, and I'm just taking them to the promised land, and now I'm having it away on my toes. I've delivered. Maybe now could be the time.
5.
Do you think there's a possibility, right, in that scenario with those stars aligned all at that time? I think it's a possibility.
I mean, there's always a possibility, right? But I do.
There's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, Sol Campbell came to Arsenal for free. If that can happen, anything can happen. If Arsenal can get the Tottenham captain free of charge, anything is possible in football, right?
Sol Campbell wanted to win something, and he knew what he had to do. In order
as Brownie says, if that happened, his stock will never be any higher. If that happened this season,
I don't know, Mitt. Do you want to win just the 2 trophies, or do you want to win them more and restart and rebuild again, Barcelona? Or do you want to take? Because we all believe that Arsenal still has holes to fill, right?
Yes.
Gary,
So
as the saying goes, he'd be looking at the Premier League and going, "Completed it, mate."
Sure.
No, he's not completed it yet because he hasn't won the Carabao Cup, man. He's won the Carabao Cup.
Stan. There you go. Red John says Arteta wouldn't go to Barcelona ever. Why? ? Makes no monetary sense for him. Arteta could stay at Arsenal for the next decade.
Why does it make
over
no
half
monetary sense?
Make over hundreds of millions. Barcelona is sacked within 3 years.
Oh, I mean, I chose Barcelona, and the reason I chose Barcelona because he does have connections. Okay, let's flip it another way. Let's say it's not Barcelona, but it's Real Madrid. Does that make any difference?
Maybe Real or
PSG. Any big club, any big club, PSG, Bayern Munich,
Man City,
any of those clubs, right? I'm saying, if he's already won the Premier League and the Champions League and does the double, which we would all be fucking doing backflips, right? Of course. But as an individual, as Brownie says, his stock would never be any higher. And if a big club decides to make a move, then it could be a life-changing altering move for him and his family financially. And I'm just throwing it out there as a
probably less than 3 years as well.
Yeah. No, I just like I said, the risk is higher to leave, and you just won 2 trophies.
He'll still leave a very wealthy man with the payoff.
Yeah, no, I think that.
I don't think it's about money.
When we got to win those 2 trophies, we'll see. But I don't.
I'm very happy to have this conversation on June 1st, Stan. I'm very happy to have this conversation.
We
have that double in the back pocket. Huh?
Stan, can you remind the audience of one of the reasons why you think Arsenal picked Arteta is because of his low price tag? And now he can go make 5 times as much at Real Madrid or Barcelona. Like you said, part of Barcelona's academy, so he knows what that means. Barcelona's under a
And
situation where they'll have to use the
yeah,
academy.
I mean, let's think about it. The culture in Spain, which he knows, of course. You think like based on how I've seen him coach in England, I don't think that transfers to work in Spain. I
No.
don't. I don't see. He doesn't, for me, have that demeanor to handle that situation. Like we've seen Pep, do it right. He's nowhere near Pep in the sense that of the way that the players express themselves based on how how he coaches them. So for me, I don't see it like that. He's not that style of coach. So I don't think it would ever work. That's why I don't think he would leave. I mean, he's got it perfect where he is right now. And he works perfectly in this situation. He's not the I don't know how you say it, the flashy type manager kind of thing that would work well in Spain. I
You,
think
you want to leave if you're getting paid 15, 20 million more a season, Gary?
he can stay here and probably get paid more, right? Eventually, and
All right,
and if he's winning those 2 trophies, he'll be here for as long as he wants.
let's
Like you
have
said, you
this
go to
discussion.
Barcelona and
Um,
you don't perform. Like for me, it's not that big of a step up just yet because of where
June 1st.
Barcelona's dropped, right?
June 1st, we can discuss this having won the Champions League and the Premier League by 10 points. Okay. Gary, can you tell me what draw would you like to see tomorrow morning?
Yeah, what draw? Yeah.
Come
don't
on, you
care.
can sound a
I
little
really don't
happier.
care, but
We're in the quarterfinals, Gary. In the quarterfinals. Be excited.
yeah. But you said which draw? I don't. I guess this is a British thing. I don't care because we're gonna have to beat somebody big at some point. We beat them early. We beat them
It's
late.
not a British
Doesn't
thing. It's a question.
matter. No,
It's
but I'm not. I personally don't
you
think
don't
it
want
matters.
to play any
Because
of
you
the
know what? It doesn't
Appease,
for me. It
Spanish teams.
doesn't matter because I feel like here's me. I feel like if
appease
we
the
were to
viewers.
play like Atletico Madrid, it would be even worse than Porto, right? I think if they looked
Yes,
at how
I agree.
Arsenal played, then they would just go, you know what? Yes, we can score as much as you can, but guess what? We can also put the clamps on, and you get nothing, and then we punish you on the counter because we do have quality. We have even better quality than Porto does. Or we'll play, like a Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, and they've got the experience and they do have the talent as well to go out there and go back and forth with us, right?
Yeah, but
I mean,
you're having a Bayern
it'd be
Munich
great to
that
play
have one of
Bayern
their
Munich
worst.
and beat Harry Kane, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, we beat Harry Kane twice, home and away last year, right? He goes to Bayern Munich, and we beat Harry Kane home and away again. That would be cool, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think a lot of these teams have more talent than us. I, I guess PSG would be like the that team of the Champions League, right? All right, they just don't. They can't see they never get the win. So maybe PSG.
So we're
Because they
looking
probably.
for
I don't think PSG has the. For me, at least, it doesn't seem like they have the level of defense, like or the discipline or whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
to
But
match
they
what
have
what our
Mbappe.
Achilles heel is, right?
But
They do have Mbappe, but we do have we do have Saliba and Gabriel, and
So who you
if
landed
we're
on,
getting
Gary?
healthy, if
Yeah,
we're
make
getting
your mind up,
healthier.
Gary. Fucking hell.
Oh, sorry, I just went through everybody, didn't I? Sorry. You
You're in
sound
the
like the
chipper.
I
You'd
guess I'll
never survive in the
say
Giving us
chipper
a
in
PSG.
club
Ireland.
I guess
president
I'll
of every
say
club.
you have to
Gary,
yeah.
you
Say
go to Ireland,
PSG.
you go to a chipper, you better know what you're having when you go to a chipper in Ireland. Your fish and chips.
Whatever.
fucking
Yeah, just
Gary went
fish and
down
chips.
the entire
That's all. What do we
roulette.
mean? What do we mean? Fish and chips. Give me some malt vinegar and ketchup, please. And let me get out of here.
All right,
All right.
which team has malt vinegar on it for you?
It's a PSG.
You're going for PSG. I'd go for Dortmund.
Mm.
I think
I
Dortmund
would
might be
get.
one of the easier ones.
I would go for either German team, really.
Dortmund or Bayern. Yeah, Gary set that up perfectly with the hurricane angle. There's
Because
always,
Bayern's had one of their worst years, and
always going to be
probably
stories. I'd
one of
prefer
their
to have
worst
it
years.
have the Limer tie in the semifinals, Tony, for me.
This has had about one of their worst seasons in about 20 years. Even though they still have a Harry Kane that's probably to break the German scoring record this year.
Yeah, the only trophy they're getting.
Yeah.
All right.
Barcelona is a good
So
one
who are you
right
picking, Tony? Bayern?
It doesn't matter either one.
Any of
Probably
the German teams? Okay.
Probably Dortmund's the one.
All right. So we got PSG. I picked Dortmund. Let's say Tony picked Bayern. What do you want, Stan?
Me, either Barcelona or Bayern Munich. Either one, I don't care. I want revenge. I want to knock one of those two teams out. I want to knock out Bayern Munich, or I'd like to knock out Barcelona.
Yeah. Be nice
I
to
can't
get
give
Bayern.
you one. I can't give you one. Either one of those, I'd love to knock out. And
10-2. 10-2 aggregate, Stan. Bayern
Yeah.
Munich.
Yeah, I'd like to exact some revenge. First season back, let's take a scalp that messed around with us before.
Yeah.
And just like, we keep a receipt, right? We keep receipts on these things, right? And we have to pay these receipts back every now and again.
Exactly.
But wouldn't Bayern be the one since they had our scalp so many times?
Love it. And again as well. And again as well. Do you know why the Bayern one for me? It's not even really about Harry Kane. For me, it's more about Eric Dyer.
I knew you were going to roll on Dyer in there.
But think about it. Harry Kane goes there and
he looks like a copper.
Did Arteta ever play in a Champions League?
Eric Dyer
looks like a Bobby. He looks like a Bobby. Yeah.
There's a song about it. There's a song, I believe. They sing a song about him looking like a copper. He does. He looks like a copper.
Okay.
Did Arteta play in the Champions League?
Yes.
So he must have won out painfully, right?
Went out painfully. Yeah, would have had to have, Gary. Yeah.
So do we know?
Who did play in the Champions League with us?
We were in the bloody thing for 22 years, Stan.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
It in there.
It was us.
That's some Barcelona.
You think it was Everton? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I thought
Rangers?
maybe Celtic. Rangers, or
Harry Kane will come to Arsenal. He will and lose.
Yeah.
That'd be the best, right? I mean, Harry Kane loses to Arsenal, and then goes and wins.
Feel about Eric Dyer, man.
He gets his red cannon.
Barca Dortmund for Barry Byrne. Everyone is eyeing up Dortmund in this draw, aren't they? But Arsenal against Kane and Dyer would be an attractive game.
Nothing warms my cockles more than a pissed off Eric Dyer. Brilliant.
Yeah, indeed. Pity the late great Paddy Gallagher, rest in peace, wasn't still a caretaker like he was at Highbury. Used to let the few of us Irish in free to games. And I think they used to open up Highbury at halftime as well, let people in as well. If we play Real Madrid and beat them, we're the baddest team on the block. It makes every team furious. I think even Man City could fear us in this draw. You know what I mean? Not that we would want to pick Man City. He's frozen, Tony. Are you frozen? No.
Nope. I'm still here.
Sorry,
Gary's back.
I'm on my phone, so if I switch,
I don't think City. I think City might fear us a little bit as well, Gary.
City would fear us.
City would fear Arsenal.
I just don't want to have to play City 4 times.
1, 2, 3 anyway,
in
right?
Near succession, because I think we play them at the end of the month, and I think the next round starts a week later. So
yeah,
we would play them 3 weeks in a row.
3 times in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, no,
that'd be crazy.
I don't want to have to do that just yet. But I do want to beat them on the 31st. Let's just say that.
We've also had 2 contract extensions as well. Both Tomiyasu and Benny Blanco.
Have they confirmed Tomiyasu yet, though?
Yeah, that was confirmed yesterday.
I think. That? Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So that's good news.
I mean, that's been hold of our assets for about 2 months.
Aren't we worried about Tomiyasu's injury woes a little bit?
And Zinchenko and Partey and half the fucking
are easy ones for like they could be let
Top
go,
of the league,
right?
Tony. Up, yeah.
Yeah.
I want Manchester United. I don't know next year. Yeah.
So something else I wanted to mention as well. Has anyone noticed? Because I noticed it, and I'm sure Tony notices it. That when Arsenal come out at home games for the second half, have you noticed that whoever's running the
Marching, yeah.
music and the PA, they always play a wrestler theme? It's been going on for a long time now, and I just wondered if anyone else had ever noticed it.
I've seen things about it, but I haven't really read the reasoning for it.
Because the guy that does the music is a wrestling fan, and the first one that he played was Triple H, The Game, and then from then it's become a thing now. And if you listen out for it, I always try to listen. Oh, what is it this week? But the guy that in the booth, every time they come out for the second half, it's a wrestler's theme. Just thought I'd just throw that bit of trivia in there for you.
No, I want a
Sorry,
marching band.
Gary's
I
like,
was
who gives
too-
a fuck?
I was too busy
I want
letting
him-
Terry
Yeah.
Henry and Mika Richards fuck around.
And Ray as well.
I'm out.
Ray's out.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys.
Wrestler
want,
schmeshler.
We're gonna
Ray's doing
circle.
good if he even sees
We're
the
gonna go
games,
back
yeah.
a little bit to the game, and then we'll get out of here, right?
Oh yeah, the game.
Great goal from Trossard. Odegaard engineering that pass. Great shuffle of his feet. Porto were hugely frustrating team to play against. Trossard's dad didn't help us at all. You know,
He did not at all. I think it was
Tony said he had a good game. Tony said he was a fair referee.
I'm just laughing at Tiger and Gooner's comment. Dyer was in the bill. Probably.
Ray, was the whistle blown 50,000 fucking times like the last game? No.
Hey, what?
Yeah, but that play, some of that plays into, for me anyways, some of that plays into Porto, right? Because they're able to foul us and nothing gets called for it.
Yeah.
So for me, either you know, like, and
No,
for me, at some point, if you're gonna have to blow the whistle too many times, that's when the yellow comes out and you stop it. So the referee has to manage the game.
Yeah, but
So
we didn't want yellows
letting it
because
go,
we would have had
letting it
players
go, and then
suspended.
yeah.
Gary.
I'd like,
What?
if I may, I'd like to ask
We
you
would
each
have
of
had
you,
players suspended if yellows were coming out.
if I may, I'd like to,
That's
I would
Tony.
like to, I'd like to ask each of you a question, if I may.
Sure.
If you was going to make a prediction between now and the end of the season about, like, you know, something big, maybe a player that's going to do something or something that you know, do you have anything like that? Like, for me, I'll start you off. I truly believe that between now and the end of this season, T-Bag's going to play a major role. He's going to show us something that we've never seen before. I'm holding out on that. I'm like, you know, I'm
well,
writing
what
that.
fever
Like,
dream did you
I've
have
got a
this
stone
season?
tablet.
All right.
I'm chiseling that into a stone tablet.
All right.
Right?
I'll give you one. Eddie Nketiah will score in one of our remaining Champions League games.
Ray, he said
Ray
something
went to
that
smoking
realistically can
crack on
happen.
us.
He just went out there and did like Dreamland stuff.
Yeah,
Could it be the winner in the final?
it could be the winner in the final.
I
I didn't want to go that far. we
Anyone
get
else?
drawn. We get drawn. Bayern Munich, and Eddie Nketiah scores the winning goal at the Emirates to take us through to a semi-final. There you go.
And can I just say, for those of you that don't know who T-Bag is, if you've not been around here for a while, we're talking about Gary shaking his head. It's a very affectionate name that we have for Fabio Vieira, who looks like T-Bag from Prison Break.
Fabio Theodore Bagwell Vieira.
I believe that he's going to come good, but he's going to come back fit, and he's going to show us why we bought him.
He's a bad man, Stan. He's a bad man.
He's going to do it. I believe it.
All right, Tony. Did Gary and Tony have to go with their outlandish.
Yeah, let Tony go.
prediction.
Outlandish.
Well, that's every
Academy
week.
players that come
That's every
in
week,
and-
Gary, for him.
some mystery academy players win the Champions League for us.
Nwari, whatever his name is, that kid.
Yeah,
How do you say
Nwari.
that kid's
Yeah,
name? How do you say it? How do you say that name?
Nate.
Nwanari. How do you pronounce the N? Do you pronounce the W? Was one silent?
The end.
What?
Eddie and Kedia is awarded by Kai Havertz is the guy who scores in the final. All right, Gary.
I guess I was going to say Kai Havertz has a perfect game. Gets a hat trick and he gets
What,
two
for
guys
once?
thrown out. No, he gets two guys thrown out as well.
Kai
On top of that,
Havertz
finish.
scored the winning goal in the final again.
You can't change what I said.
No, that was my extra.
That's
That was
right.
my alternate. If Eddie didn't
That's
land,
your alternate. You might as well just take your alternate. Just drop your first one because Eddie's scoring in a Champions League game.
I reconsidered my answer.
As much as I would like to see that is like, yes, when pigs fly.
That was 1A and 1B of race picks.
No.
Barry's on board.
You know what? When he came onto the pitch in the Champions League game, I was like, can you at least run around the pitch for me, please? Just run. You've been rested. You haven't played in a very long time. The man's still jogging out there.
He'd be like,
he's still jogging out there.
Crystal Palace, I will take your call now.
They're like, dude, you've lost pace.
I would love Eddie to be our Davok Origi. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would love him to be our Davok Origi for Liverpool. He was doing so many little bits. At one point, I was like, why ain't no one just buy him and play him every week? Every time they call him this guy, he fucking delivers. I'm like, what? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Every time he come on, you're like, he's going to do it, isn't he? Fucking Origi. So why don't they play this guy every week? I wish Eddie was like that, man.
All right. So anything else to mention before we sign off? Gary, thanks for doing this at the end.
If you've got Disney Plus, check out Poor Things starring Emma Stone.
No, you know what? No. I watched it.
And if you look close enough, you may even see her hairy business.
Is there an end in that?
No.
But
Stan, you're about
was it actually on Disney Plus for you, or was it on like the Hulu?
I can't believe
they have like a little Hulu deal.
Gary,
like what?
Steer us back, Gary. Steer us back.
No, nobody don't go watch
Arsenal. Bring it back to Arsenal, Gary.
I got you watching. You're like, this should be rated X, right? Why isn't this rated X?
I still think I'm on the wrestling channel.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
Reddy said our pens were excellent. Shows how much we practiced. Loved the fact that Declan Rice stepped up as well, backing up the fact he's our star signing from the summer. Moss earlier said Captain Odegaard stepped up. Number one penalty, nailed it, took the pressure off and fired up the whole stadium. What an amazing pass for the Trossard goal.
But don't you have to call out Odegaard for?
Why do you have to? But the comments. Don't we have to call out what Trossard? What
Trossard and Odegaard in regular time getting us.
Yes.
So we could actually.
Well, that's what he said at the end here. What an amazing pass for Trossard goal. See that? It's right there. Covered.
So put your pitchfork away.
And we like Trossard on this channel, right, Gary? We like a Trossard goal.
I was just saying that Odegaard finally was able to make a pass and somebody put the ball in the net instead of wasting his chances that he's providing. So that was good to see.
All right. We'll leave it there unless anyone has anything to say. Forever hold your peace for a few more days, Tony.
And people want to give Arteta praise. How do you give Arteta praise for going for a 1-1 draw over 210 minutes? It was the players.
He's one of them, Stan. We were talking about him at the start. He's one of them.
He's one of them.
He's one of them.
I'm a realist. Sorry.
You're a naysayer. How can you complain about a manager who's taking you to a quarterfinal in Champions League and
The
top of the
players
Premier
did
League?
it.
How?
Top of the Premier League, Tony.
How?
Because if he had Jesus and if he had Zinchenko, those guys would have been playing.
No.
Instead, we had the happy
You can't talk about
injuries.
something that didn't happen, dude.
That's not the
What are
Tony.
you
That's not the
doing?
answer to the question. The question
You
is,
can't, like,
right? How can you, as an
your answer is
Arsenal?
always, what if he did somebody or if somebody else played? They didn't.
All right, let me ask Tony, as an Arsenal fan, right? Let me ask you a question, right? Arsenal are sitting top of the league right now, right? We're in the driving seat, and we're going up against Liverpool and Manchester City, two very good
What's
teams.
happened? What's happened to us at the end of the last two seasons?
Let me ask the question, right? And we're in the quarterfinals now. We're in the pot for the quarterfinals of the Champions League. What is there to be unhappy about? Are you not happy? Are you not entertained?
He's happy, but
I'm serious. No, I like. What is there not as an Arsenal fan? Why should you not be happy with the state of our business right now?
Yeah, but look how fast it turned around because of injuries.
It didn't turn around. What? Nothing's changed right now. We're
That's not
still
what I've asked you.
top of the
What I'm
league,
asking
and
you
we're
is,
still in the
Tony.
So when
quarterfinals.
Jesus was
No, that's
playing,
not
we
what
were
I've asked
scoring
you.
4 or
What
5
I asked you
goals a
was,
game.
as an Arsenal fan, what is there not to be happy about with our fortunes at the moment? What are you not happy with? Or are you
Still
happy?
not.
Or are you
Still,
happy?
still not happy. No academy kids integration.
that's coming.
As much as I wanted
doesn't have
academy kids.
Plan B.
As
What
much
is
as I
that?
wanted academy kids in there, but guess what?
What
You
was
look at
Arteta's
our
answer
look at
for
our squad
Porto?
right now.
But
Look at our squad right now. If Partey,
Yeah,
Timber,
yeah.
Tomiyasu come back, there's no space for
Be back.
Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson and Vieira or Emil Smith-Rowe. That's
so let me
where
ask
we
you a
are right now.
question then, right, Tony?
So
So
they
do
were
you
good
think
early in
then,
the
right,
season, but
if
right
we had
now
done,
there's no space for them.
let me ask you another
Yeah.
question then, right? So if we had done things in the way that you wanted to see them done, i.e., you wanted to integrate more youth from what you've just said, right? And we started integrating, we'd integrated more youth earlier on in the season and done it that way. Do you think that we would be where we are now, i.e., top of the league and qualifying for the Champions League? Or do you think we would somehow be even higher than that or below? Where would you think we would be if we'd done that? Surely we wouldn't be in a better place, because how can we be any better? We've done everything we need to do in the Champions League. We've got through to the next round and we're top of the league. So what else would
skin
there?
of our teeth.
How? How by the skin of our teeth? And look,
How?
Red John.
Because Ray, you play a team for 210 minutes. You come out 1-1. They're fourth in a farmers league. Fourth in their league.
Yep. But they played in the Champions League every year.
And no
smart.
Portuguese team has ever won on English soil.
Didn't they beat? I thought Mourinho took Porto to Man United and won up there.
But we're still in and they're
That's
out.
true.
The Portuguese team is now out. I mean, I don't know what more you want. I mean, job done, right?
Tony was a real
when you look
man.
into the history books, right, it's not going to say Arsenal went
Yeah.
through to the next round,
High
and then,
expectation.
and then in brackets, it was really fucking scruffy, and they only done it by the skin of their teeth. It doesn't say
No.
that.
A lot of the Portuguese players that are in England have come through that Farmers League, so it's a tough league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have we done on the Portuguese players, right?
I don't know.
I just don't
Wow.
see that. What is it going to take to make some people just be, you know what, I'm really happy with things at the moment.
Yeah.
Everything's really good. I don't understand why we're always trying to constantly
Tony.
look under the sofa for a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, we can't be doing any better. We spent
Tony likes the Champions League.
We spent 240 days last season at the top of the league, and where did it get us? Didn't get us the championship.
Didn't get us anywhere.
now we've managed to creep into first place, and all we've got to do is
Because this
shouldn't you be
this was
excited?
a part of last season
Shouldn't you
that
be
we fell
excited?
apart.
I'm
Lawrence
excited.
would
We
be,
could end up double winners. We don't
Lawrence
know. We're
would be off
taking
the
it.
trolley by now.
I don't get it.
Yeah, Arsenal only keeping the
However,
shit like Eddie, so they have enough homegrown players. Fish them out.
there's actually not a home. My understanding is there actually isn't a homegrown quota. There's just a maximum number of international players that are allowed on the squad. So it's not necessarily that you're keeping them for homegrown because we
Right.
don't need
You're
anybody. We
supposed to
got
have
great players we can bring up.
8 homegrown players.
But Tony,
There's
you
no
got to
rule
be
that
happy.
says homegrown players. I think it's more of the international players we can't have a max.
Yeah,
Give a maximum on. I believe.
Tony, you got to be happy. You like a good Champions League run. We're in the pot for the Champions League quarterfinals tomorrow. We'll know the path to the final. We'll know which side we're on, whether it's a weak side or a strong side, to the path to the final. And hopefully we get a decent
Did
draw.
they draw for
Yeah.
the next 2 rounds, or
Yes.
is it the semi?
Next 2 rounds.
Is it
Yes.
semi?
Tony,
Next
you
rounds.
support one of the best 8 teams in Europe. Not one
Yeah.
of the top 10. You support one of the top 8 teams in Europe. I mean, come on. That's pretty cool, isn't it? How many teams are in Europe? You're the team
Tony,
that you support, Tony, the team that you support is in the top 8. Do you know there's people out there, right, that have supported their football teams for like 50 years and their teams have never been in Europe ever?
Yeah, but didn't we do all this
I mean, this is luxury, man.
To win the competition? Stan, was the point of getting rid of Wenger. Was everybody's point of contention was complete for titles, complete for
Compete for the Champions League. Let's do it, Tony.
We are competing. We're still in it. You got to be in it
Exactly.
to win it. When we're still in it,
We can
We're up
still
there with-
have
we're
that
up there with the
Champions
best.
League debate.
We're being spoken about with some of the best
Yeah.
teams in Europe right now. We're in the top 8 teams in Europe. End of story. No
Right.
argument.
I think that's a
No
great
argument.
place to leave it. That's a great place to leave it, right? Good night, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good night, Tony. Good night, Stan. Good night, Gary. Thanks for joining,
Good
Gary.
night. Everybody in the chat, yeah.
Lawrence, sorry you had issues earlier in the show.
I always hated the end of that show because you had to sit there for 2 minutes for everybody to say goodnight.
Tony, the ceremony takes forever, but it's only 7.5 hours away now. We'll know who our opponents are in 7.5 hours. So let's tune in on time and wait 46 minutes before we know who we're going to play.
But before the computers start doing it for us next season. It'll take 4 days to do the numbers, right?
AI is going to take over the whole world, Tony. All right, we're out of here. Good chat tonight. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Happy St. Patrick's Day weekend and all that crap. See you later. Bye. Sláinte.